Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 20th episode of the Recorded Round podcast. This is a series in which we take representatives from different recorded rounds across the subreddit and discuss topical matters in the world of RRs. And that is the first time for over 2 years I've said that, but it is good to be back. COVID has brought a lot of us back, and we'll be touching on that later on in the episode. But for now, let me introduce the people who will be joining me today. From the regular crew, we have Dominic Kazmic.
Ew.
And Joey, the Sonic Joey.
Recorded round I fucked up. I was gonna
Off to a good start.
Right.
Oh my god.
This is the point where I tell
the
you I'll
Recorded
edit it
Round
out.
podcast, episode 20, returning in 2020. We all have 2020 vision.
Oh, hey. That was better the second time round. Thank you, Joey. And today we are joined by two guests, not from any specific recorded round. We don't really do that anymore, but two names who I think everyone would agree are pretty knowledgeable nowadays. We have Fancyyy.
I'm not really knowledgeable, but hey.
Okay, brilliant. Does anyone here know what they're talking about then?
You're really selling the return of the podcast.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, guys. Gavin, do you want to save this for us?
I have watched every round that has appeared on the subreddit in the last 4 days.
There we go. Right, the rest of us will just leave then.
Moneymaker over
That's
here.
right. Well, that's the end of the episode. See you guys.
Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Wait, 4 days? Does that mean you've watched every single perspective? If so, that's aggressive, actually.
Oh god, no.
Oh, then what are you doing here? That's kind of useless.
Oh,
Why do you think I invited
how are we
you?
meant to get an
Here on the RR podcast, we watch a recorded round and we scrutinize every perspective down to the frame.
I'm gonna go to the UHC
advertise
subreddit
out.
right now,
Quiz me.
and I'm gonna pick a perspective.
Okay.
What's the last? I need to find a decent. I need to find a recorded round. Okay,
Okay.
I cannot find an episode of Kazmic in it to make fun of him. So my joke is ruined.
Yeah, I've not uploaded a round in a while. It's been a little bit for me. Well, as of recording, I would say.
What about Gateway Season 1? Are you not in that?
I did not play Gateway. I'm not a member of Gateway.
Oh,
I will
okay.
confirm
And
that
that
for you
is your
now.
loss, quite frankly.
Well, maybe we should gateway into the first topic.
Sorry.
As a pro.
I don't know if
As
any
a
of you
pro.
are in it, because like I say, I know nothing about rounds anymore, but the Abstraction Season 7 intro came out 6 minutes ago. Right, we will watch that as a group just before we go on to the second section, talking about the top 100 intros, and we will decide where we think it should have fitted in on the top 100 had it been released at the time. So someone help me remember to actually do that. But for the time being, we're going to do... So on previous episodes, when this series was like once every 2 weeks, we used to do the RR Roundup, where we talk about every round that had released since the previous episode. As it's been now like nearly 13 months since the last episode. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So this time we're doing the RR Catchup instead, which is just a synonym, but
It's the same thing. We don't have to talk about
it's
everything.
the same thing, but the people here who know what they're talking about, I hope, have brought a couple of rounds to the table which they have deemed interesting enough that have released in the last year that we can say some stuff about. And if anybody wants to open the batting with that,
can I?
feel free.
Can I start off?
I was going to suggest. I think Fancy's prepared quite a few. So
Yeah, Fancyyy, take the floor.
All right. So first, early 2019, we have the round classification season 4, introverts versus extroverts. So this is
I
the
think I remember that.
Yeah, so this is like
back.
the first infinite allies round in a while. Actually, the last one I've ever checked out is probably Stranded, which is quite kind of popular for like obvious reasons.
Stranded is
So,
a very popular
and-
concept that people want to happen again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
happened
and
yeah.
it happened again in classification 4. So whether or not it's a good season is kind of controversial, as I've heard from some people. Some say it's good, some say it's bad for like several reasons. So I want to hear if anyone who watched this has any opinions about this.
Since it was a long time ago, I personally cannot remember exactly what happened. I believe I watched a bit of James the Douglas's perspective, but from what I remember, I just really like the idea of introverts versus extrovert. I just think that's like, because I know classifications, like, I was gonna say scheme, their scheme, their what do you call it? Their concept, that's the word. Thank you. Quarter round pro here.
It's been a while, guys.
It's been a while. No.
Please excuse the Sonic Joey.
I remember
Pathfinder
that concept
doesn't have a concept.
I don't know how to. I do not know how to say it because I'm terrible with words. But I think it works really well with the concept they have going for it, where like they try like different personalities and things like that, and try and see who works best together. And I think it was so cool putting like the introverts and the extroverts like competing against each other. I think that was such a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give them credit for that. That was a really enjoyable idea. I liked that when I saw it.
Can we go back to layman terms and actually explain what introverts and extroverts was? Because I'm someone who didn't know. Doesn't even know what you're talking about.
Do you
know? No, I know what an introvert is and I know what an extrovert is. I just don't know how that applies to Minecraft UHC.
I thought we were going to get scientific here.
No. How do you apply that to Minecraft in a classification?
Oh, I think it's also. Oh yeah, it's Mumble, of course, because it's infinite allies. So like, obviously it. Yeah, so it gives like them like the ability to whether they want to communicate with others or not, whether to team up with them or trust them and stuff.
Oh,
and then like
that's actually quite fascinating.
Mm-hmm. So like for me, I didn't watch like I think I also watched James's perspective, and then like for me at that time my reaction was neutral, but after that someone made a montage about it, which I actually personally think is actually quite a decent season because I heard that like from some people from classification themselves, that this season was like debated whether they want to redo it or not, but they keep it in the end, which I think is a pretty good thing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, this was so long ago. I've genuinely forgotten a lot about what happened. So I was like, oh, I'll just quickly watch the montage, see how it is. It's a 40-minute montage.
Those are like kind of like longer montages sometimes.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
I think sometimes I can enjoy them.
It was necessary.
Don't get me wrong. Longer montages can be pretty good. It's just for the express purpose of reminding myself real quick what happened. It's not particularly great.
Well, I don't think it was intended for people to watch in like a quick 5 minute.
Podcast.
I don't think it was intended for this situation, Dom.
If you want to take that up with the montage maker, then
I'm officially calling you out, Espic. Okay, you should have made this in advance, knowing that I would forget about your rounds and had to watch your montage to get caught up. This should have catered to me.
You're such a scientist. You should have put an abstract at the start of the montage.
Scientists could future-proof their information.
Montage.
You didn't future-proof your montage for the RR podcast, and frankly, that's despicable.
If they're scientists, maybe they should join classification. Classification loves doing things with sciences and stuff. As we see now.
Yeah, we're apparently not that good at science.
Yeah. I actually had an interesting perspective on the season on account of I wasn't like really back yet in the community when the actual season came out. I was like kind of back. I was working my way up, but I was not like watching rounds like I used to in 2016, 2017. So it was the montage that I saw. So I didn't see the season at all, but watching the montage, I thought it was really, really exciting. And it kind of got me like motivated and wishing more around experimental, pun intended, sure, more experimental things like that. Because I had a great time watching it. And I really do think it was a good season. I thought it was unexpected and had some really memorable moments. It looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can't comment a whole lot on it due to poor memory because it was a long time ago. But at least the game mode sounds very interesting, and it seems like it went well. Montage was successful, you know.
So if the montage gave a good impression of the season and it was a cool concept, Fancyyy, could you go into detail of some of the reasons of why people wanted it scrapped at the time? Because I'm not hearing any negatives from my point of view so far.
Actually, like as they said, it's been a long time, so I couldn't exactly remember the reasons why. I'm not sure. Maybe, Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
that's fine.
I'm looking at this. I'm watching the montage. I'm getting a little bit of deja vu that I've watched this before, and that little feeling is like I've definitely watched this before, but the feeling is kind of associated with, I think, like a group of people did really well, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So one group did exceedingly well for, I'd say, the first 2/3 of the season. So I think up until that point it was kind of steamrolly because they were all together, and I think that that's another discussion people have is should there be a cap in Infinite Allies? Like should it be Infinite Allies up to teams of 4, teams of 5, etc. And then after that they kind of got withered away, and it was actually really close final fight or two.
Okay. It's finite allies.
So, do you have anything else to add for classification 4?
I think it's probably time to move on.
Yep.
Fancy, do you want to carry on, or does anyone else have a round to...
I think it was a class game mode.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
this
pun get.
time,
Oh, bloody hell.
You should have never invited me back. That was a terrible decision.
Was
I guess
a terrible choice.
I guess I'll move on. This is not something I have ever watched or anything, but I want to give props to the 2 agency seasons that has been nominated. Like the round itself got nominated twice for best RR season for 2019, 9 and 11.
Agency had a hell of a year.
Whether they win is not to my knowledge because
Season 9.
Actually, good point. I'm gonna just take this moment to just make a public service announcement. The awards are still coming.
Oh,
the awards are still coming. It's just at this point in time, without elaborating too much on the contents of the awards, the completion of the awards is outside of my control. If I could, I'd push it out as soon as I can, but due to how we're doing it, we have other people are contributing. There's other factors happening. So, it's not something I can help with right now. It's still going to come. Hopefully it comes before the end of 2020.
Jesus Christ.
Producing the 2019 awards in 2022.
Which would be very on brand for the podcast, but...
Did you say Agency got nominated twice?
Yes. Agency got 2 seasons nominated for Best Season of the Year.
How many nominations were there? Are you talking about like the shortlist?
As in, the list that went through for the list that went through for voting to vote for best season had.
How
2
many did
seasons.
we have on the list this year? 5.
I think it was 6.
6 for each.
I mean, that's got to be really positive for the round as a whole. In like the last year, if 2 of your seasons make it into like the top 6, like that. I think of how many recorded rounds get released these days. If 2 of one recorded round makes it to like the top 6 of a year, that's bloody impressive.
Did you say season 9?
9 and 11, I think Dom said.
Didn't I do a spectator perspective for that?
I don't remember.
I know I've done 2.
I recall you being a spectator at one point. I don't remember what seasons though.
I've spectated 2 seasons.
I think season 9 was the moles game because I remember watching Dom's perspective of it a little bit.
Yes, I did do the perspective for that. That was
it was the mole. Yeah, it was the.
I remember you died.
Yes,
Dom. That's all I remember. It was like you and Kevin or something.
I was a mole. I met up with Kevin, who is also a mole.
Yeah, that's right.
However, I think the rest of his team kind of followed him, so that I got to fight that way.
And you died, I think.
But that was still the best moment of the season did happen on my team though, which was
did you die?
Frigid the mole.
He's his combat lock.
Yeah, where Frigid as not the mole starts pursuing Max and Lego, who are convinced he is the mole. And as they decide to kill him, he combat locks. Oh fuck!
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah, and then I think season 9 is remembered well for its moments, but season 11 was I think it's just as a whole just a really good season. Like it's just quality all the way through. I mean, it does also have the Melee Dojo, but just the season as a whole is just fantastic.
Yeah,
all right.
Big up Agency. Gus, you do a very good job.
Yeah,
good job.
Plus anyone else who may or may not be involved in the...
All right. Now, that's the only complimentary round that I have for my list. Next is...
Ooh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Next
Well, then
is,
I might have something to add later if you're missing one.
Okay. You can add that later.
We could stay on the positives.
Yeah, let's,
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what, let's
yeah.
do.
Should we just mix it up?
Nah.
Just go.
We gotta
make
add
our
some
own-
positivity in
We'd be
between,
too nice.
you know.
We gotta be evil a bit.
All right. So, anyways, this has been mentioned last episode of the podcast due to like it was also released like at recent times when episode 19 was recorded. I assume so. Inseparable Tree.
Right.
So I heard from like last episode podcast that people were debating that like them not keeping the nostalgia factor. I think like where like it's a complete new roster and stuff. I didn't watch it. Not sure about. I'm pretty sure Casmic played it.
I did, yes.
I
He was
watched
the
it.
perspective I watched. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
watched a few perspectives.
I think the problem with the inseparable thing is when it comes to reviving an old round, it's very expected that a lot of the roster comes with it. Hence why, like the classic, like way back when R&R was having the classic feel of the round doesn't have its feel in that. The problem with Inseparable is there's absolutely no way you're getting like 99% of those teams back. It's such an element of its time, the roster, that any chance of it coming back in any capacity was not going to happen. I mean, literally no one involved in the season, like no one who played season 3 played any previous seasons. It was all newcomers.
I didn't watch the season or really was aware it even existed, so I'm talking purely objectively here. But I'd say when you bring back a normal round, a round with multiple seasons, like let's say Pathfinder died and came back many years later, generally speaking, like the more of the old roster you bring back with it, the more of an excitement factor that's going to bring, because people are naturally quite nostalgic. If you bring back an old round but the roster's completely different, then people are going to be like, this is the same, but like it kind of isn't. But when you're talking about things like Inseparable, like things that were originally one-time rounds, like the nature of one-time rounds is the concept is more important than the roster.
Yes.
So if you thoroughly enjoy Inseparable as an idea and wanted to bring it back all the years later, as the main premise is the concept as opposed to the roster, you can do that fairly easily. But if you brought back an old normal round with a completely different roster, then you're just like, well, you might as well have. You're then just kind of leeching off the name. Whereas I never got the sense with Inseparable 3 you're leeching off the name Inseparable. It's just you're just bringing the round up into the modern day, and there's nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Which brings me to my other point about.
Can I make some comments about Inseparable?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll continue this. Okay, you go ahead.
Oh wait, are you gonna continue on my? Sorry, you cut out a bit.
I was going to elaborate further on a point, but if you want to say something, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go on. You go first.
Okay. Well, I was going to elaborate on. I think it's very much continues. It's not just an element of its time in terms of roster. I think the theme is a lot more of an element of its time, entirely because of the state of the community. Another one of the big criticisms that Inseparable 3 had was people were saying stuff like, "Oh, these teams don't feel that inseparable. That they don't feel as tight-knit as the original teams." And I think the problem with that is not that the teams were not inseparable, because there was a hell of a lot of like good friends teams in there. I don't think that was a problem in the slightest. But it's just more of a case of how the community has changed. People are more, as time goes on, the community has kind of divided off into its subgroups a lot more than when Inseparable was a thing. So it's a lot harder to fully understand who's friends with who.
Oh yeah, there's no burger juice equivalent in 2020, is there?
That's exactly what I was gonna say, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna add a bit more, but yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, it was a lot. People think friend groups were a lot more distinct. You knew a lot easier who were friends with who. And then when Inseparable came back, since there's all these different friend group places, all these different friends mixed with other friends, there's just a whole lot of just various communities that exist within this one community that you don't get a clear picture. And people point out stuff like I think it was it Gabe's team? It was Gabe with Gabe was who was he with again?
Zeka, I think.
Zeka, yeah. They're good friends. I mean, they're good friends. They were a good team, but they were one that people were being like, "Oh, it doesn't feel like an inseparable team." It's like, no, they're 100% good friends.
Yeah, to be fair, how would you know? How would anyone outside the group know how tight knit they really were? Like, there's nothing.
It's a lot easier to be misinformed about the roster than it was several years ago.
Yeah,
talking about friend groups, I have another round on my list I want to talk about.
Can I finish talking?
Oh, okay. Sorry, apologies. I'll talk about it later. My bad.
No, but I think I was pretty much just gonna say pretty much exactly what Dom said. Just in like the community is so much bigger now that like people don't like people won't know like the connections that some people have. Like, I mean, to us, you and like Dom, you and Casey, like clearly that's an obvious team. But to like to someone else, say like an old person's browsing the subreddit for the first time in a long time, and they see like and they set the rosters, they won't know who like any of the combinations are. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
And like I also think that like another reason people are a little bit and I don't know about annoyed. But confused about Gabe and Zekka's placement in the roster was because I think like compared to when Inseparable 2 came out,
sorry,
and compared to when Inseparable 3 came out, the playstyle of UHC has changed massively. And Zekka and Gabe are definitely like two of the more competitive PvPers, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I think just like seeing two highly competitive PvPers in a really like old school round, that also probably is another reason why people were
it's very
shaken.
easy to look at like two really good players who ended up doing really well. Yeah. And then if you're not too familiar with their team, you could just convince your brain to be like, oh, they just team because they're both really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Win. But it's not the case at all.
But they are very good friends, so I think it's completely fine in the concept.
It's also a case of a lot of people kind of within that friend group are all just really good at the game.
Yeah.
So regardless, any team of two you pick from that friend group, you're gonna get a really good team, and that's just because it's just how it works out. It's not like they became friends because they're all really good at the game. It's just a convenience. It's like they're all really good friends. They're also all really good at the game.
I mean, you say it's just a coincidence that they're all really good and they happen to be friends. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like you become friends with people who are similar than you, and if you are a competitive gamer, then the likelihood is you're going to end up in a friend group full of other competitive gamers. So
that's true.
I guess that is true.
It's not total coincidence, but there's nothing wrong with it.
I imagine it might be a bit jarring for like someone in that friend group to try and be like trying to get buddy with someone else over UHC, and it's like someone who's like caving with torches. They're like blocking off their caves, going, oh, there's a skeleton around there, I don't want to take damage. A bit jarring for people with like a slower playstyle who aren't particularly good. I don't think it's strictly 1-to-1, but I can see some influence.
I suggest that we do an idea that someone came up with like 6 years ago, and instead of Inseparable, two people who are really close, just get two people who absolutely despise each other and get them.
That is one of those concepts that comes up.
I think that would be interesting.
Worst
why don't you organize that
ideas?
Like really
separable UHC here.
Worst are our ideas.
Someone genuinely suggested that like 6 years ago, I think, and it was interesting. I don't know who it was.
It's such a good idea. In theory,
it's great.
In theory, it's amazing.
No, but by the end of it, they're like great friends.
Unfortunately,
so the
theory
next
does
season
not.
Inseparable, they play. They seem together again.
Unfortunately, theory does not account for upload rates or willingness to play.
I would also say that it's one of those concepts that's kind of become part of our folklore, if such a thing exists. Like, I genuinely don't think any season of that idea could ever live up to the hype that the concept has been given over so many years. Like, people genuinely still... Like, the one guest who isn't in attendance, who, I don't know, might show up halfway through, is Noah Flameorb, and we were in Discord together for about 3 hours a couple of weeks ago, and that was genuinely something we discussed. Like, this was an idea that was originally came up with, 5 years ago. And
I was kidding.
I've had two conversations. I've had two conversations where it's come up in the last 3 weeks. Like, people do talk about it. I'm not saying I'm going to organise it, Joey. Calm down.
Don't. I was just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm not organising it. Nor should anyone.
Right now, I just made an intro. The season is coming out tomorrow. It's
okay. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch.
Oh boy.
All right, you have a topic for us, Fancyyy?
Okay, so talking about friend groups, I would like to talk about the late 2019 RR that came out, Amity.
Oh god.
Genuinely, I think it's a good idea. I think it was a good idea in concept.
It's another one of those ones where it's in theory You just slap it on paper, and it's like, that's a fantastic idea.
It is.
But there's a lot more.
What was so bad about it? I actually don't remember. What was so bad about it?
Okay, I'll first elaborate.
A lot of people, it was controversial. I don't mean to say it was bad. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah. I'll first elaborate on problems with the concept as a whole, and then I'll go into the season in particular.
Should we say what the concept is? Because maybe the viewers don't know.
It's basically All Stars, but friend groups. So friend discords, friend group chats, that kind of shit. So inherently, the problem with the concept is All-Stars, you rep your All-Stars team, you're associated with an All-Stars team for a recorded round, you get removed from the round. It's a little sad, but it's a Minecraft UHC. It's not that big a deal. It's not that huge a deal. You've got a perspective of you playing for a round you're not in anymore. Sucks. Whatever. Friend group round, you upload a recorded round of you as a member of a friend group. A friend group you then get removed from. It's a lot more of a volatile thing that can get people, which would get people a lot more upset than being removed from a round, is if you played for a friend group and you're considered an important member of that friend group, which is another problem as well, which I'll get into in a sec. And then you're just no longer part of it, and you have like this footage of you being a part of this friend group, and you're not. The other one, as I said, there is it's easy to decide who you're representing, who you're getting to represent a recorded round. You pick the people who people think of, people who've played the most seasons, the people who've done the best. Who do you pick to represent a friend group? The most popular member of your friend group? That's a fucking awful can of worms to open. It's hard to represent. You just kind of have to go with random. And even then, even if you do effectively go with random, you can't help but think if you're watching it, oh, this person got chose to represent a friend group over me. They're clearly a higher choice than me in the friend group. Can of worms again, which is it's problematic to say the least, in my opinion.
I think Pathfinder was invited to it, but I think I said no. I don't remember why. I think it's because I felt it was similar to All Stars, because personally, as thing I said, but if there was another All Stars, I wouldn't play for Pathfinder. I'd be okay. I felt it similar to that. I felt this feels similar to All Stars, and I said if there was another All Stars, I wouldn't play it. So I wouldn't play this. But and I wouldn't want to seem like controversial like the rest of the group. I don't like with a recorded round. I could just pick people who are most active playing seasons, but when it comes to friend group, there were a lot of active people in the Pathfinder Discord. It's kind of difficult to pick just 3 people to join and such. So I know I wouldn't want to detach anyone or anything,
So yeah, that's the inherent problem with the.
Really hit the nail on the head there. I think I just don't. It's not. It just doesn't feel right. You're pitting friends against each other.
Yeah, and then we get to the problem with the season. I'll start off with the biggest problem I had with Amity as a whole, and the main reason that I was the main reason that I regret playing it as of right now is that Amity Season 1 is the largest recorded round of all time.
Yes.
My biggest problem was that Venny got a triple kill, but you can say what you think.
That's a problem too. That's a major problem.
There were a plethora of good or bad, depending on where you stand on Venny in 3 kills. But there were a plethora of memorable moments. So I don't think it was bad in that sense. But I know exactly what Dom's going to touch on, and yes, that is not.
It's when you think about. It's not always been the case, but when you think of rounds that have been the biggest of all time, it's felt kind of, grand. It's felt kind of a little bit significant. Amity is the first season of a new recorded round, and one that didn't exactly get off to the races quickly, and it's the record holder.
How many people were in it?
It was 76, if I remember correctly.
That's less than I thought, actually. I thought it was 100.
No, it was in the 70s.
Public game is what it was.
It kind of felt like it. But yeah, holding the record for a round that had such a middling response, just kind of an its existence was already an kind of just puts a stain on its own reputation. It's like, oh, this thing wasn't received particularly well. It also holds quite a significant record in recorded rounds. That was a major thing for me. The kind of
I think it depends. What I don't know. You were in the round, so you're gonna have a better idea of this than me. Was it coincidental, or were they a season
Intended.
1 of a new recorded round who just fully wanted to even however this round is received? I just want to smash the record for the sake of it.
Breaking the record was 100% the intention from the start. At least when I first played, it was very much intended that it was going to break the record.
Well, that's not really the right reason to start a record round in the first place.
I don't think the round was started. I don't think it was a case of the round was started because they wanted to beat the record, but at least very early on in the round's development, they were like, "We're going to beat the record."
They saw it was a potential, and they capitalized on it. Well, capitalize is a liberal term, but they jumped on it, and then that's ended up being the end game.
Yeah,
the end game.
Because everything else goes out the window.
Honestly, if there was this much negative stuff, I don't know how the roster felt, but if there was like so much negative stuff coming from like the roster and like how the viewers received, I'm actually kind of surprised it was released. Because
I've brought up this information before several times, but like the season had a redo vote, and it was something like it was. The yes and no votes for keeping were both in the mid-20s. They were at best like 4 votes apart, and it was that's unfathomably close.
That's not a good sign, then.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry. I've just looked at the episode
personally, if we had a Pathfinder season and like that many people felt it should be redone, I would highly like did they even consider it, or did they just take, oh yes, we got the most votes, so we'll keep it?
It's hard to tell. In my view, I won't say this is the truth in any capacity. This is just how I view the situation. It felt a lot like they were convinced. They were like, "We think this should be released. We'll do a vote." The vote was and they were like, "Okay, we're releasing." I don't think it was inherently just they were going to shut it down, but I don't think it was ever going to get scrapped.
As an organizer, I don't know how everyone else feels about this, because I don't think most people here organize or have organized a round before. Like if Pathfinder had a vote like that, and the vote was like 55 to 45 on a redo, I'd honestly probably still redo, because that's a large amount of the roster thinking that this season is bad, and like that has to start selling some alarm bells, especially with how critical people are on recorded rounds these days. Like if 45% of your roster think this season was bad and should be redone, I personally that's got to ring that would ring some alarm bells. I don't know how you guys feel as organizers, but I would probably redo.
It's definitely it's an uncomfortable situation, because when it's that close, I think when it's that close, it really just comes down to organizer's decision, because the roster is so split. And if you're set on keeping it, you're gonna keep it. So, and it's also hard to kind of debate. It's like, oh, we're gonna keep it. It won technically. It's messy. I personally, if I release a season with a 55 to 45 redo vote, I wouldn't be happy about it. Yeah. I'd probably release it, but I would not be happy about it. It'd be like, it's like, okay, you're getting this now.
Especially knowing it would break the record too.
Yeah,
you have to know that there's going to be some sort of expectation that comes with that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's breaking the record for a season 1. Like something NDOs should follow.
It's like imagine if the highest grossing film of all time came out next month and it was a Minions sequel. It's like, yeah, cool, you made a lot of money, but that's now the number 1. that's our benchmark. That's our high point. It's like, is that what we want the high point to be?
Another thing I was gonna say is that, like, again, like as you said, it's a season 1. Like, if it was around, like, say, I don't know, Phobia as an example, because Dom's here. Like, Phobia has had a reputation of good and okay seasons. So, like, it's okay for there to be an okay season now and again. So, like, if a season like Amity got released for Phobia, where it was, like, okay at best, then I think that would be okay to be, like, you know, brought out. Because, like, I mean, you actually have some nostalgia and some, like, previous seasons to, you know, like, go back on. But if it's a season 1 round and your first season is not very good, then there's nothing to look back on, and all you'll see that recorded round as I can't say words, is that one season, if that makes sense.
I've also just read for the first time that this is an annual event, which means they've got to wait a year before they can even attempt to fix the mess. Sorry, that's quite harsh, but to lack of a better word, the mess that they caused releasing the first season. I don't know, if you release a round with a 55% approval rate within your own roster, what you are doing is justifying it for yourself. You know, as an organizer, that you deep down just want to release that round and will do anything. If you're genuinely on the fence about it, I think only 55% of the roster being for it, that would spur you on to scrap it. If that gives you that incentive to release it, then that just means that, you know, you're just doing what you want to do, which is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with an organizer taking an executive decision if that is what they want to do. You know, they do have that
offended
right.
Anyone. I hope nothing I've said has offended anyone. That is the last thing
I doubt it.
Well, you're already cancelled. So
the Amity organizers already know my comments on it. Me saying more is not not that much. They already know what I was going to say.
All right.
But to be fair, props to them for getting that many people there on the same date. That is impressive, whichever way you want to look at it.
I also will say, despite all that, it still got nominated for an award. The RR.
Yes.
Did it?
Best RR moment.
Yeah.
I has no idea. TNT's Litten.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal moment to say the least.
Yeah, it was nearly a. It was a pretty It was kind of a key moment in the season. Like, it actually like really could have changed a lot.
Yeah, it changed the game as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was right at the end, right in the final fight, just a huge amount of fucking TNT, nearly killed someone. It was a very significant moment that happened. It was pretty impressive. So it's got that going for it.
One other positive thing about Amity I gotta say is that, like you said, it was like 76 people or something. If you can get, I mean, I doubt it had perfect upload rates, but
far from
to get like that many people. To get that many people at one time to record and get probably, I guess, around like at least 80% to upload on time with that many people, that's impressive. Like you've got to give them credit where credit's due. That's very impressive.
To me,
looking at the rounds sometimes with like 18 people and not all of them upload on time.
Right.
The only thing, last little thing that I've just like, it's just a little detail. I'm just looking at the episode 1 post because again I didn't know this round existed, so I've been doing my research while you guys have been talking. It's just little things. In the spectators list, it's got Pelly and Fra, but for Fra it's got didn't record. Now, in my eyes, if you didn't record your spectator perspective, then you don't get to go down as a spectator. Like, if I'm hosting a round on Arctic and an Arctic host is spectating the round, I will not put them in my list of players of just with didn't record. It's so obvious that getting the record was their only intention by the fact that they're putting a non-recording spectator in the list of spectators for the season. Like, that is just unnecessary information to get your numbers up. Like, sorry,
when it comes to
no.
When it comes to breaking the record, it's clear that also some friend groups played, even though I could tell you quite easily. But with my lack of knowledge of friend groups, I can still tell you just from looking at the teams that where a lot of them didn't upload, that those were going to be the teams that would give you the most problems when it comes to uploading. So it's just case of like, yeah, sure, you can play whatever, fuck it.
Yeah,
pad out the number. Uploading is not mandatory.
Okay.
Do we want to move on from Amity?
I think we've given it a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, actually, wait, one thing, not necessarily Amity, but you brought up a point. I think spectator perspectives are becoming the norm when maybe they shouldn't be. I think that spectator perspectives are really important for seasons where there are like moles or there are interesting objectives in the game, and I think now they're nearly, say, half the rounds that are posted have a spectator perspective. I really just feel like it's redundant because the way it kind of takes the specialness out of watching the teams. Like, if you're only watching it for the gameplay, I don't think you need to watch anyone.
Yeah,
the spectator.
It's a weird shift.
Absolutely.
It's a weird shift because it felt like before the spectator perspective was something that you kind of planned. Like, it was a part of the season's planning. It's like, okay, this season, because of this, we'll have a spectator. Nowadays, it feels like your season has a spectator if you're in voice with someone 10 minutes before who's not in the round, and you're like, fuck it, you can spec if you want.
That's exactly what it is, and that's kind of what it feels like, which is what I feel the problem is.
That might not be the actual method, but I do agree it feels like that. I don't know. I mean, I've done 2 spectator perspectives. They were both for agency seasons, and I don't know. The first season of agency that I spectated was Mumble, So I was hearing the team's commentary as I was spectating, and the second season was Moles. And I think out of Agency's, 12 seasons?
Correct.
Yeah.
The 2 where they had spectator perspectives in me were the 2 seasons where having a spectator perspective was a brilliant organisational decision, and I think props to Gus for not going overboard and just making it a feature of Agency seasons. He decided to ask me to do them when they were necessary to do, and I think that's another thing. We've been very, very positive about Agency on this episode, but yeah, honestly, props to them for that.
I'm partially at fault for just like allowing someone to spectate. In Pathfinder 9, Jamie was a sub, and I felt bad that he couldn't play, so I allowed him to spec and do a spec point of view. But to be fair, that was a mole season, so it balanced it out.
Yeah,
at least in that
enough.
case, you can provide something interesting.
Okay.
A lot of the cases nowadays, it's like you see a season and it's like team of 3, very basic game mode, and there's like 2 spectators. It's like, what are you gonna fucking cover? What are you gonna say other than just, oh look, Bloom team members mining gold?
Oh yeah. I would like to also mention that there's I have a similar case to Joey. Astrology season 4 where Pat Creeper Brown was supposed to be a sub, but we ended up having enough people, and then he stayed up until 6:30 a.m. in the morning, which I felt bad, so I let him spec as well, which is a good thing because
that's fair, I think.
Yeah, because another spec went lost their footage, so he's the only one with spec footage, so it's a different perspective.
I think someone would have to be pretty heartless to have a go at you for making that decision under those circumstances, to be honest. Like,
Okay, I will redact my statement that I haven't made yet then.
Oh.
I don't know.
I mean, feel free.
I feel like
We love a bit
Gavin's
of
just gonna go
controversy
ape
here.
shit on both me and Fancyyy.
No. I'm going to be very, very polite here. So I just feel like someone who has joined almost all of his rounds from being a sub, you realize that as a substitute player, there is always a chance that you won't play. And I think for me, it's like, oh, well, I'm very flattered that you thought of me to potentially fill in for this roster. But if you really wanted me to play, if you really wanted me to be in the roster, I would have gotten a formal invite. Instead, normally what happens is I'm like, I just missed the cusp when it comes to player votes, or I'm just around and lots of people in the round know me and like, oh, he's around, let's just grab him and have him jump on the server. I don't know. I feel like in Fancy's case, it did work out really well, and in Joey's case, I think Mole's spec perspective is always a good idea, but I think as like a general rule, I don't know if I would feel that much empathy, even if he did stay up late or woke up ridiculously early. I mean, you don't know you're gonna play, and that's just part of the gig.
Okay, fair point.
Do you reckon he genuinely deep down might have thought, to be honest, if I stay up till this time in the morning, he's not going to have the heart to not have me play in some respect? Because honestly, I think maybe
you were used for your kindness.
Yeah. Anyways, are we done with a MIDI here?
Yes,
I think so.
Yes,
yeah.
we should be.
Okay.
I think we need to move
Okay.
on.
Okay, so I still have 3 rounds on the list, on my list.
All right. Okay.
And
Jesus
if like
Christ, it's
Gavin,
long.
I assume Gavin also have some rounds with positivity, so we can balance it out after I finish mine. I assume.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
All right. So next one is I want to talk about Alone to the End, season 20.
Yes.
So it's an Ender Dragon Rush.
Ones. So this is gonna be interesting.
Okay, so I'm not sure. No, it's not really a negative one that I want to talk about, but Alone to the End. It has been a while, or I'm not sure if it ever happened before. Alone to the End ended in episode 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like it's a case where
batshit insane Dragon Rush season.
It was also the first free-fall Dragon Rush season ever, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think encompasses his batshit insaneness.
So I assume,
too,
I assume Gavin has a lot to talk about. I just want to say I think it's entertaining to say the least. Yeah, that's all. That's like my point for now. So I mean,
it's
Gavin, you
definitely
can carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. We have two people here that can probably speak a lot more on it, but I mean, from a viewer perspective, I think it was very, very, very entertaining. Though I'm one who looks more at entertainment value out of things like commentary or funny moments and like a season going well as a whole. I'm more apt to like a season if there are more teams I can watch as opposed to a really close final fight. But that's just me personally. The PvP aspect isn't mega interesting to me. But I think both having it be an FFA and having it end so quickly offered a lot of different reactions from people. That's one thing I like. If I'm not watching someone's perspective per se, but I see an event happen from the perspective or perspectives I am watching, and like want to see other people react to that. So just I think I watched every uploaded episode, episode 3 or 4, whenever the just to see people go crazy. And I think it's kind of fun that it was FFA because they can go crazy and like they react how they react. You know, they don't have a teammate. Wait, you know, let's go back to the chest and actually get our gold before we head to 0-0 to the portal. They just go, and I think it adds to the battle aspect of that. So.
I think we primarily caught what you said there.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if it was me or not.
It was a bit robot, but
you know what? Europe and the Pacific Ocean are very far away.
Thank you, GavBot3000, for that explanation there.
I do agree with the statement. It does not fit the mold of what would be considered a good season at all. It's such a weird outlier that it's absolutely, if you look at what makes this like a season good, it fits like fucking nothing, but it's really fun to watch.
Yes.
It's I would say it's like one of those things where it's like a car crash you can't turn away from, but I feel like it is a little bit more positive than that. But it's just it's so absurd in its nature that it's a fun watch.
Yeah, I think that's what made it good. As someone who played, I didn't think it would end that quickly. I was expecting another like TT10 moment where like I was expecting to go on for like 2.5 hours, and like I was expecting to play for 2.5 hours, and the game ended after like 1 hour. I was very shocked, and I was very out of the zone, and then I killed Frost, and everything felt normal again.
I was expecting it because it was FFA. I was expecting it to be like. I was just saying I was expecting it to be like WMC. I think it was 21, where it just didn't work at all, and because there were too many Dragon Eyes, and I thought, oh my goodness, as an FFA, no one's ever gonna get that many. And then I forgot how good people really are at Minecraft.
Yeah, people can be pretty nuts.
Oh, that's a good point. Like there was that brings me on to a debate that went on maybe a week ago in the RR Discord about how to bring Ender Dragon Rush into modern UHC, and thinking, is 3 Eyes of Ender too few in these days?
Oh, it's not. 100%. It's way too few. It's way too few.
But
I'll just reiterate the point I made about that. Is the more eyes you have, the less time it takes. It's very weird, but it's entirely due to the psychology of it, where the fewer eyes you have, the less importance it is on getting eyes. So more teams just go, oh, wait for someone else to get it. And when you have so few eyes, no one takes the initiative to get the eyes. It happened in a private game.
We don't talk about that.
It's just for reference, was one of Joey's private games he did recently where he did Dragon Rush. It was a 3 Eye of Ender game. It was 3 Eye of Enders emptying the portal. How many players? It was like 30 players.
Yeah.
It was definitely enough players to get those Ender Pearls, but no one took the initiative to go to the Nether. No,
they did. They just made strength potions.
Yeah, people went to the Nether. They got their potions. They left. They were just presumed someone else will get the Eyes of Ender. And then when everyone presumes that, no one gets the Eyes of Ender, and everyone just kills each other, and no one goes to the end. If you have more empty slots in the portal, people go into the game and they realize, if we want to win and we want to kill the dragon, we're gonna have to get eyes ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't saying thank you to cut you off. I'm just saying that is the first explanation for why having more Eyes of Ender is a good thing that I've actually agreed with. Because my whole thing was, well, I'm sorry, RRs are supposed to be enjoyable for the viewer as well as the players, and watching people kill Blazes and kill Enderman is not a fun part of the season. And if you're making more Eyes of Ender, all you're doing is making the boring part take longer for the sake of dragging out the season, which for something which is supposed to be a spectacle seems highly counterintuitive. But no, that's a good point. If it makes people
I would
more
much prefer
psychologically
to watch. I'd much prefer to watch players grinding out Blazes in the Nether than people stalling till Ep 8.
Can I?
Go ahead, Joey.
I was gonna say, can I make a suggestion for something for future Dragon Rush seasons? If anyone here is thinking of like doing one for like their future recording round, one thing we did in one of the To the End seasons, it was either 10 or 15, I can't remember which one. But instead of having 3 Eyes of Ender missing, we had 1 Eye of Ender missing per team. So like, say there was 8 teams in the game, there were 8 Eyes of Ender missing from the portal, and I don't remember which season it was. It was either 10 or 15. I'm thinking it was no, it had to be 15. But I mean, that ended that ended pretty positively. I think like it lasted for a decent amount of time, and like I think it lasted about the same as season 10. And like I personally think having 1 Eye of Ender missing per team in the game, I think that's a pretty solid. I think that's a pretty solid idea, as long as your roster isn't massive. I think I think more fans should do that.
That was season 15, and I remember I really lobbied for that. I really lobbied for that not to have 3 Eyes of Ender. I was like, have 1 per team.
Yeah, and that was a really good idea. I think more bands should do that.
I do genuinely believe that should be the standard. It 100% should just be 1 empty Eye of Ender per team.
I mean, to be fair, you couldn't do that in season 20 though, because otherwise you'd have to have like more than. I mean, there isn't enough slots in the portal.
Hot take: if it was a completely empty portal for that season, it might have been a normal Dragon Rush length. Like it would have been like an Ep 6, Ep 7 probably.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's what I think Dragon Rush should be around that length. I think that's like the beauty of it. They should be like more endurance based.
I don't want episode 13 like Cube season 4.
No, not 13, but like maybe 9 at most, maybe 10 if you're pushing it. But probably not. I'd say 9 at most. I think To the End 10 went to 8. I think that was pretty good. That's my views on Dragon Rush.
Yeah, I think what happened in TT20, which I didn't watch, and this is the first I'm hearing about it, as per most things in this, but that was a cool thing to happen as a one-off, but it should not become the standard of Dragon Rush.
Absolutely.
It was just a nice change by the sounds of things that made it a little bit unique and worth having, but yeah, try and do something in the future if you're going to have a Dragon Rush season to try and make it the length that they used to be back in the days, because that is the length that Dragon Rush season should be. Joey's right, it should feel like more of an endurance.
Okay.
Are we moving on?
Okay, so... Alright, so the last 2 on the list that I have listed down, they have caused some insane discussion on in the Discord.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not sure about this. This actually might have exaggerated it, but all right, this is also an Ender Dragon Rush season, over the top season 6. So basically, to give some context about this, the season in general, in the beginning, it was fine. What was problematic was the final ending. So basically, the people in the round, after the season, they thought that the winners were Team A, for example. They killed a dragon because there's no indicator, so they wouldn't know. So they just have to assume that it's Team A who won. But after the finale was released, so the people in the Aura Discord eventually made a discussion of who actually won. And then they actually realized it was Team B who actually shot the dragon last. Because it was a mess of all the arrows shooting at once.
Yeah, it was... I completely forgot that this season happened until you mentioned it. I completely had erased this from my mind.
I didn't watch it. All I remember was this discussion somewhat being a thing. I never watched the season.
That sounds fascinating.
So the episode came out, and it was just they're pretty confident they knew who won, even to the point that I remember watching MK's perspective of it. They've edited their perspective. It flashed up the names. They said these players won.
Yeah, I saw it.
Everyone was so confident that team won, but obviously in that situation you don't have all the perspective. You just have yours. And then the season was released, and what all of the perspectives were now together, and people watched it, and they were like, hold on, no one on this team fired an arrow when the dragon died. It was someone else. And they realized through the process of elimination, because it wasn't so simple, because the person who actually killed the dragon in the end was one of the people who didn't have footage. Right. And if I remember correctly, it was quite significant as well, because it's one of those cases where they were like, oh, it's good, like this team who killed the dragon were ones who were fighting in the end a lot, when in reality the team that actually killed the dragon, it was
showed up at the
it was a one tap of the dragon.
I mean, that is going to happen in Dragon Rush sometimes.
It is going to happen in Dragon Rush.
You can't help that. That's a risk you need to take. Of course,
yeah.
That's a risk you need to take.
But it's one of those things where I don't feel like the season would have got redone on its own. But like the not getting that information wrong is quite significant in terms of how you feel the season went.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting.
How was it not confirmed? How was it not confirmed throughout the entirety of the upload process who actually won? Like, I know a lot of the time it does feel like people who actively talk in the RR Discord know more about recorded rounds than the people in them themselves. Like, I'm fully aware of that dynamic. However, surely the organisers of this round could have been there to say, okay, well, this is who won. Like, where were they throughout this whole discussion, the actual round members themselves?
It was a combination of just very poor circumstances. Because as I said, the person who actually killed the dragon didn't have footage. So all you can rely on is what other people say about their footage that they have. And when one team is convinced that they're the ones who killed the dragon, you can't see their perspectives, you can't see other perspectives, you just kind of assume that. And it wasn't until the viewers got the full picture that you could piece the things together and realize, okay, what we're being presented isn't actually what happened. It wasn't a case of, I don't think it was a case of incompetence on the organizers, not in the slightest. I think it was just extremely rough circumstance that led to that happening.
I mean, they did what they could with the information that they had.
Yeah.
The problem was they didn't have the information that they needed.
Right, yeah, exactly.
All right.
Just a quick side note there about that, because it was it's not like a huge like discussion point, but it is genuinely like a really fascinating thing that happened. That a round could come out with the wrong winner
info. So like bizarre. Okay, conclusion. And the Dragon Rush season should have indicators on who killed a dragon. So
absolutely, full stop should do.
That solves like all the problems in the Dragon Rush season.
I've just think like it's 2020. RRs have existed for a long time now, and we're trying to do a roundup of all the rounds that have come out since the last episode, however god long that was ago. And the ones that have come up so far from your guys' list are not ones that have amazing fights or really good commentaries or awesome teams. Everything you're talking about is just little quirks. And I think we have got to the stage where those are the moments that will be memorable. It is the funny moments that make a season. Like, if Quest for Victory Season 2 had come out within the last year, I'm sure that would have been hot on everyone's...
I know exactly what you're going to mention.
Hot on everyone's list.
What you're going to mention already.
Like, it's just amazing. Hang on, how have we mentioned 3 Dragon Rush seasons at the last... Right, the moral of the story is have Dragon Rush if you want some weird shit to occur.
Yeah. Also, I feel like just in the case of the podcast, it's a lot more interesting to talk about these rounds, which have interesting quirks, than it is just to be like, here's a round, teams were fun, fights were good, next.
Oh yeah,
I agree. I completely agree, because I have much more fun talking about this than talking about stuff like that.
Okay.
But that's what we used to have to do when there was only 2 weeks.
I guess my list
before.
Is fine.
No, your list is perfect for the sort of thing we want this podcast to be about. So thank you, Fancyyy. Right, can I interject before your next?
Skip over. Like, if people want general discussion on if a season was good or bad, they can just pop into the recorded around Discord and spark a discussion. Plethora of opinions, right? But I think it's these things because I think it's a good focus on like what people look for, who watch recorded rounds or what they watch in recorded rounds. Anyway, I think it's kind of a good microcosm of what that really is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Before we go on to your next round, because I feel like we've completely forgotten about this. So during the pre-recording for this, I was alerted to a certain thing that happened in a certain recorded round, which was a bit of a controversy, which completely went over my head, and everybody was wanting Lego to be here to explain it to me, but unfortunately, Aaron
that was
unable to make
the
it this
last
season,
round
so...
on my list.
Oh, it was anyway. Right.
Look at the clairvoyance. Wow.
I will also clarify. I have officially gotten Lego's consent to be his spokesperson for this.
Okay.
So
verbal or written?
It is
All right.
Okay,
So
written
should
consent is
I?
still viable in court?
Should I bring this up now?
Mention the name of the round. And I'll explain it to explain to O-Dog what happened.
I was actually gonna keep this for the last one after Gavin talk about all his RRs, but I guess since it's brought up, it
I
can
only
be
had 2 on my list. We already
escape.
touched on one of them. Just go.
All right. All right. Here we go. Conviction season 5.
Okay, so O-Dog, what do you know about Conviction?
Is it to do with crime and jail?
It is a recorded round based around crime.
Okay, that's a cool idea.
Honestly, the game modes and stuff they had for a lot of prior seasons were good. They had like robbery, fraud, that kind of stuff. I think they had arson as well. Season
Fraud
5,
was really fun to watch.
Season 5, they went very bold and decided that their theme for the season was going to be genocide.
Oh, I know where this is fucking going. Fuck me.
So initially at first the response just in general to the idea of genocide was mixed. Obviously some people thought it was fine, some people my opinion of it, I didn't have like a strong opinion of it. I just kind of felt like it's a Minecraft UHC. Genocide feels like it's punching really high up.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
I'm
sorry.
I think "amazing's" the wrong word to
No,
use here.
but I'm just taken aback by this. Like on the basis of addressing this after, you know, the heat of the whole whatever went down surrounding it. Like when you just look at it objectively and think, so, I'm sorry, whichever way you want to look at it, however controversial this is, the idea of a Minecraft UHC game being around genocide is fucking hilarious, and no one here is going to convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
Like it's just
it's a way to garner attention. That is for
it's bold. I'll give them that. Right, what specifically happened?
So
I don't think the season itself was even bad.
Honestly, the season was like fairly unremarkable in that regards. Like it was primarily just the concept of it was a problem, as well as there's a handful of other things were an issue. First of all, the thing that gets me is, if you're gonna do genocide, at least justify why you're doing genocide. Like you can do a lot of different crime-related things that touch upon a lot of the same points as genocide. You gotta show why, in particular, genocide is what you're doing. And the game mode in the end turned out to just you could have named the season like murder,
assassination.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard that the game mode
be...
doesn't even suit the concept genocide. I mean,
it suits genocide.
It's a very loose connection.
It suits genocide just as well as it suits any other human death related crime.
Ah, okay.
Which is, you know, and it's the fact you label it as genocide, which is the very bold strategy. And then and then the other main problem, which is touching on more emotional stuff, is several references in the season, alongside in the intro, to Lego when he wasn't there.
Wait. Not the Holocaust, Lego specifically.
They would talk, there was references to like Lego in conjunction with the season and the game mode, which were not okay, and I know Lego was really upset with that.
I think really
there was one notable comment, which was at the start during the intro, where one of the organizers, can't remember which one, said,
name names.
I couldn't name if I wanted to. One of them said, sadly, Lego could not be here for this season, which I think was just meant to be I think it was just a running joke of the round that Lego couldn't make it. But in this context, combined with how chat reacted to it, was very, very poor.
Yeah.
Right, that's not great.
And it left a very foul taste in a lot of people's mouth before the season had even begun. Which was a major problem.
I think
I mean,
I was gonna say something, but I feel like it might be a bit too controversial, so I don't know if I want to say anymore.
I mean,
it's a very controversial topic.
Yeah, I think you've got to handle this sensitively, but
I was gonna say that I think some people's titles were also a little bit.
I remember that bit as well. Yeah,
it was from memory. I don't know who, and I'm not gonna say who, even if I knew who. But that's another thing.
If
that
they
I think
stuck to
people
this
didn't
concept and they were like, "Yes, we're doing it. It's going to be on genocide." I think there's a level of maturity that comes with that was nowhere near reached.
No.
Oh god, yeah. Like I'm okay. Conviction is clearly not a multi-million-pound company with a PR team, but you know, you've got to have some self-awareness at the very least to think.
Imagine that for a quarter round.
You've got a lot of
production value.
You've got a lot of people in a Discord, and a lot of things going wrong, and at no point between recording and not even recording, between planning the idea of doing that as a concept and the round hitting the subreddit, did nobody think to talk some sense? And I think it's a massive miss on everyone's part. Like I'm sure it wasn't malicious, intentionally malicious.
No, definitely.
However, you definitely missed the mark, and yeah, Jesus, wow,
yeah,
that's quite something. What was the game mode? How was it?
Oh god, what was it? Oh fuck, what was it?
Okay,
so you want me to search for it?
Okay, and while you search for the specifics, the general sense was you had to go to monuments in the map as your team, and you as a team got assigned a target, but the target wasn't a team, it was one singular person. The team had to work to kill the person to get a reward.
That just sounds really unfair towards that one person.
It encouraged teamwork and mining together and things of that nature,
I guess.
Yeah, I think the main thing that really got me about it, I remember this at the time now, the main thing that got me about it is you're covering a crime based around killing a fuckload of people by doing a game mode about killing a single specific person.
They should have done shared health because then 4 people would have died at once. That would have been
that would have been more applicable. Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah,
I fixed it. One game. That's
what baffles me. You've sat there. We've been discussing this for how long did it take you? You haven't been sitting here for the whole time, Joe, trying to come up with a new game.
No, I literally just thought of that right now. I literally just thought of that. Like, what's a game mode where people die? Like where people can die like multiple people once? Oh, shared health. Yeah, that does it.
And your reputation is not on the line if you fail to come up with that game mode right here. Like, there's a lot of people who had a responsibility to handle that situation very sensitively, and in 5 seconds, you've come up with something far more appropriate to the situation than they managed in the entirety of their production.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh for that. That okay. No, I'm not going to comment.
I'm gonna put a cap on this and just say to finish off that since this has happened, both the organizers have apologized for this. It's not it's not a case of like they did this and then we're like, fuck it, this is what you're getting. They have apologized for it.
And some players who have involved as well. Yeah, they have also apologized as well.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's mostly water under the bridge. Obviously, for most people, it is. I think I can't speak for Lego because obviously that hits a lot closer to him than it does everyone else.
Oh yeah, of course.
But people have apologized since then, so yeah, it's not. It's
okay. Yeah, we're not here to hate on the organizers. It's just a lot of us here have organized rounds and know how much thought does actually go into it, and especially when you're dealing with something as sensitive as that, it is just a bit of a mindfuck how that was ever allowed to happen. But no beef towards them at this stage. Like,
we're just gonna do a catch-up without mentioning something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a very significant thing that happened. So,
all right.
In an ideal world, this would have been discussed within 2 weeks of this releasing. We're not here to dig up dirt from the past. It's just we're having to do this because of the gap between the podcasts. That's just the nature of the beast with how fucking unreliable we all are. But no beef to the organisers.
I believe that people change as well.
So, we won't name names. But yeah, Gavin, do you want to deal with your last round before we move on to
positivity? Let's go.
I have notes.
We're an hour and a quarter in and we have 3 more topics.
I don't have many.
We're letting the guests run the whole show. Okay?
I would say I don't have many topics,
you can
and they're
be
not
quiet,
like
Dom, okay? I have a
they're
round
not
I
like
want to talk about.
they're not like super in depth, but I also have points to bring as well after this. So
Okay.
Okay, fine. This is the last specific round, though, right?
probably.
For
Okay,
me,
right.
I had two standouts coming into this. One was TTE 20, and one was Paradox Season 3. I think I wanted to talk a little bit about Paradox because I think as far as production goes, I think it's unmatched, which is strange. I never thought it would come. In my opinion, I never thought it would come to that. Like, oh yeah, one round just has the best production, full stop. And I think Paradox in only 3 release seasons has met that, which I think is super impressive. For me, obviously, it's just my opinion. But season 3, me kind of solidified that because the first 2 seasons I was just a viewer. The 3rd season I was asked to substitute for the round.
Classic Gavin.
Classic El Gavino sub primo. Yeah. And I was blown away. I think Sam puts so much effort behind the scenes because he has full out lore for worlds that he has planned and worlds that he has released, how they're all connected. I think the art is spectacular. Danny does a great job. And I think the amount that goes into it, because for this round, you're building art, you're building a resource pack, you're building a world, you're building lore, and you're getting players, like digging out players from the dust that I didn't even think were A, still alive, B, certainly didn't think played Minecraft, C, certainly didn't think played UHC, and getting really close seasons for people that like the fights too. Each season that's been released, I mean, the winning team has won with not all their players alive and with no healing. And like season 3, the Rabid won on 0%, and I don't think anyone going into meetup would expect that team to win because it was Rabid, Chipmunk, and Diana B that ended up being the winning team against Fancyyy and Otacon, 2 fairly skilled players, especially for that roster.
Oh yeah, I remember now. I watched the montage.
It was a good montage too. It was a good. I know that montage actually caused some discussion whether or not it included too much spectator footage, but I think it's necessary when you don't have one perspective from the final fight. But, and that was also an interesting thing is that people were critical of the season because there was only there were 2. So there was a spectator and one end of the fight perspective, and there's just one missing perspective. The winner's perspective, Rabbit didn't have his footage just of that episode, and people were very quick to call it bad season when you have myriad moments from that season that I thought memorable, that were interesting. And the thing about Paradox seasons is that each episode can be interesting because you're exploring the world and finding out new things, which is different than a lot of other rounds where it's most interesting when fight is being played. So I just wanted to note that Paradox is
I think in terms of production value and attention to detail, it's easily the best thing we've seen since Out of Orbit, and I don't say that lightly.
I'd also like to comment on Paradox a bit, and I don't say this often, but Paradox had me interested from the first trailer. Like the first trailer they ever released for the first season, it really got to me, and that's really rare. It had me interested from the start, and then like they had a lot of stuff on terrain and everything that like I really love in general. Like exploration is my favorite part of Minecraft, and so like combining a great concept with a trailer that got me hooked, and trailers never get me hooked anymore. Like combining all of that, Paradox has had me hooked from day one. I don't know if it's a round I would personally join myself because I think it's similar to Out of Orbit for me. Like it's a round I love to watch because it's just so interesting, but I wouldn't personally play it. But I would be a dedicated viewer, and like it's a really great round. Like genuinely, I love watching it. It's really good. Is that?
Yeah. I think you would be you'd be hard pressed to find someone who watches RRs nowadays who thinks that Paradox isn't one of the best presented rounds out there. It's pretty goddamn incredible, honestly.
Massive props to you, Bacon. Great.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to,
great job.
to give it some attention, because I don't think you could do a recap from the last episode without mentioning the rise of that round at all.
I wanted to be a bit positive because we've been a bit negative, so I just wanted to send a bunch of positives through the podcast, so that I think we need it after the last topic.
I'm sorry.
Bacon, big up.
Oh, no, that's not your fault at all.
We'd love to have you on one day to talk about Paradox. If you're watching.
I'm sorry if I dragged on a bit too much there.
All good.
No worries.
I had two round related topics, which are kind of more. They're a little bit more detached from the rounds themselves, just to provide a bit of conversation. The first thing I want to bring up is to kind of come in a little bit of I've made statements about this in the R Discord before, but kind of come to a little bit of a defense of a round that got received very poorly very recently, which is comical. It's been received very poorly recently, and I think for the most part, I think it's justified. I think issues with the theme and also just the absolute adventure of trying to see the episode posts get made is truly something to behold. But I wanted to come to defense of one point where I saw a lot of people who were criticizing the round for its roster and how it felt non-Reddit, which I feel like is absolutely not a criticism of a round in any capacity whatsoever.
I agree there. That's dumb. That's really dumb.
Okay.
Like
it just feels like gatekeeping. It's like these group of people, we've deemed these the bad people. If you make a round with these people, inherently it's bad. We've had problems with like people in rounds in the past with the general term of season 1 gang, but those people were deemed bad not because of who they are, but because they were in everything, and we wanted to see something different. These people have been deemed bad just because of who they are, and it's just like this is a bad group.
Okay.
We have deemed this group bad because they are from a community that is not ours.
I think it's really dumb. Like if like they're being considered like different communities, like hey, like they're basically saying that someone who plays like a non-Reddit recorded round cannot you know what I mean, like make a Reddit round. Like I mean, personally, I've always said this: the /r/hardcore subreddit should be for anything relating to UHC. It could be anything. You could even, I mean, sure, it wouldn't be received as well probably these days, but you could throw like a UHC single player on the subreddit. That would be acceptable. I think if people are like straight up declining something because the people who are in the roster specifically play like rounds that don't get posted to the Reddit, and they're declining it purely for that, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's really stupid.
Especially as well, at the time of recording, before the abstraction intro was posted, the top post on the subreddit was a UHC survival server.
Yeah, exactly. You can post anything to the subreddit, and I think it's fine as long as it's relating to UHC.
Also, I just think what sort of anybody who is made it RR with their friends and thinks maybe the Reddit would be a good way to get a new platform. If they're just going to get shut down because they're outsiders, like what sort of impression does that give off the Reddit?
That's an awful message to send. Jeez.
Especially,
think about that.
The Reddit, the people who are active on Reddit are the same people who have been active for many, many years. Like we're all getting older, the community's getting smaller, and if you just shut down brand new people that quickly, like Jesus Christ, you're running yourselves into the ground and you're doomed.
You're trying to grow the community.
I agree. I completely agree. 100%.
Okay. I want to formally apologize too, because when I first watched the Comic-Con roster, I did raise some question about some players in the roster for different reasons actually, but still, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If you have problems with singular players for
singular players
like that, like we all have opinions on players who we think like maybe shouldn't be in rounds, shouldn't play rounds like this, or just unreliable. If you're just blanket going this round, non-Reddit roster, bad.
Yeah, it's just that I've been raising question for 1 or 2 players, and I just feel that's.
The only thing I ever raised questions about Comical was the posts, because I'm not in the recorded round Discord anymore. I left, but I'm still very interested in like the subreddit, and I'm still very frequent checking it. And I could not stay updated on the recorded round at all, because I just kept seeing the same post like every day get reposted. I just got confused.
It's a real problem. I mean, because a lot of people aren't in the recorded round Discord, and people feel like that those viewers don't exist because they don't comment on every single episode in the recorded round Discord. So many people. I mean, look at so we have what, 300 people in the RR Discord. I'm just spitballing, but we have what, 11,000 people subscribed to the subreddit.
Exactly.
I mean, no, a majority of the subreddit users aren't active, but even still, there are. I also think that has to do with people thinking like the RR Discord is the end all be all for opinions on recorded rounds, and if everyone in here thinks one thing, then that must be the case. And I don't find that accurate or fair.
The only flip side to that as I would give is the RR posts are bare. It's not like you've got one set of people in the RR Discord talking about things and a completely other community still chatting away in the comments. Like, I'm sure there are people who watch recorded rounds who are not in the RR Discord, but I think most of the people who actively give their opinions, that is where they're stationed, because I don't know of any other places where people are discussing RRs.
I'm just showing their
I'd agree with your point a lot more if episode posts themselves were still sprawling with comments, but the reality is that they're just not. The most, apart from Comical, where people are just complaining about the formatting, like that's literally it. And you don't need to be in the RR Discord and care about RRs to see that the formatting is. That's the thing. I just think you've got to present it better. Like, if I was an RR watcher and I saw that, it would just put me off straight away. Just the formatting of the post. Like, okay, it's a hard thing to get into. Creating a round that people enjoy is tricky because people have very high standards, but you've got to give yourself the best possible chance, and at least knowing how to format a Reddit post is a fucking good place to start. Like, if you ask me, and they've really missed the mark with that one. But if they carry on, good luck to them, and I hope people ditch the stigma with the roster for whatever reason that may be, because it seems pretty unfounded.
Yeah.
All right.
And my last point is another more general point, which is to talk about the fact that during our last podcast, there were 2 recorded rounds based around skill. Since then, we have now seen a total of 4. And I wanted to briefly talk about these skill-based rounds, because since then we've had Dex been doing its thing. We've had a kind of an establishment of Clash being a recurring thing. We had B tier brawlers pop up briefly to say hi to us, and now very recently as a recording, we've had Destral. So
we had Apex in the past as well.
Yeah, obviously, Apex and Grudge Match all in the past.
Oh yeah,
but yeah.
Oh, you meant okay. You meant now. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I just thought an interesting topic would be talking about these kind of these competitive based rounds that have emerged recently. If anyone had any particular thoughts,
I think they're fine. The one thing I don't think B tier was needed. I think like I think getting rosters of like some of the best PvPers is great for the audience of people who love PvP, and then getting like a roster for people who maybe aren't as experienced in PvP, like Clash of the Underdogs, for example. I think that's great for like the more commentary perspective. So like I think it goes both ways. Like you have rounds that benefit people who love to watch kills, and you have rounds that benefit people who love to watch commentary, and I think that's exactly what they do well. B tier ballers I don't think was necessary, because that's a very, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but like but like it's hard to say who's a B tier person.
Yeah,
I do not know what that means. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I do agree. Some of the people in B tier didn't really fit, in my opinion, to that. But even so, like the concept is just confusing. Like it's kind of a massive jump because like you think the top PvPers in like stuff in like I'm so sorry I cannot remember all decks are like say A rank people, and then you have Clash of the Underdogs, which are like maybe E rank people. You jump straight to B. It's like that just it's like so all these people considered just not just missing the cut by like Apex level and stuff.
It's
like, I don't know. I just think the whole concept's just not needed. I think they were trying to like add on to a topic that just didn't need an add-on anymore. That's just my personal
something
point
I'm quite interested in is okay, I don't want this to come across as I'm saying like it's easy for the organizer, because organizing is not an easy thing to do. But I think organizing a round where the premise is that everyone in the round is of a similar skill level it takes quite a big issue out of rounds. I'm struggling to get my point across, but I think one of the biggest differences between public games and then private games and recorded rounds is in a public game is you're not a bad person if you play like a dick, whereas there's a certain expectation in an RR that somebody is going to play with a little bit more, grace about them, so that you're not ruining someone's season, you haven't mean they've wasted their time, and you're not wasting the time of their viewers, necessarily. If you're in a round where you know full well is everyone as good, it kind of gives those best players license to let off some steam and actually play how they want to play, because you know full well. I think naturally being good and being sweaty is quite a similar thing. If you're going to win, you're going to try and win at any cost, and it just allows people to play how they want, play competitively, and there's a lot of people who thoroughly enjoy watching that. I think you could almost, not really, but maybe put Cat Alive in a similar sort of placement in some ways, because it's a friend group round where the friend group, generally speaking, are all incredibly good at the game.
Cat has always kind of felt like an unofficial skill-based round.
Yes, absolutely.
Where like it isn't. That's not the intent of the round in any way, but it's how it plays out.
And also it's great because with a recorded round, you're setting time aside for it, but then you also have to set time aside to edit and upload it. Whereas with Cat Alive, and the brilliant thing with any streamed round, and they're obviously increasing in popularity anyway, is the fact that once it's done, it's done. You can upload it if you want, but really you don't have to. So if you ruin someone's season in a stream round, really it's no different to killing someone in a public game, and I think that just it just allows people to play a little bit more how they want without, like, in a round where you've got a very, very big gulf in skill level. Like Pathfinder has some very, very good players and also some very, very not good players, and it wouldn't be fun to watch one of the best players in Pathfinder play like a dick against one of the weaker players. Whereas I think having everyone in the round be of the same level takes that aspect out of it a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I just think it's fair. I just think it's especially just interesting because you have because a lot of them feel like they're justified to be there, except from B tier, which because obviously you have decks, all the good players, all the best players, anyone could kill each other there, which is often quite rare for very good players in rounds. Then you have Clash of the Underdogs, everyone there could kill each other, but they don't often get kills anyway. So it's kind of it's enjoyable in a very almost kind of a gimmicky way, where it's like these are the people who don't get kills. Here they are getting kills. It's a fun watch that way. B tier is just everything else, and that doesn't really it doesn't feel very representative of anything. Like instead in decks, anyone can kill anyone. In the right circumstances, anyone can kill anyone. B tier does not feel the same way. The best players you can get that would fit that category would easily hand it to the people who are the worst there. It's just such a broad spectrum.
It feels like the RR embodiment of 2020 inclusivity. Like, you've got a round for the worst people and a round for the best people. You don't fucking need a round for everyone in between. They don't need to feel like they're missing out. It's just something that you're not part of, and that's just the reality. If the roster
can be described as pretty good, I think 50, 60, 70% of the community in some ways can be described as pretty good. So vague and overbroad.
It's a skill-based round in name and name only. In practice, it doesn't really affect anything, and it's just kind of does not lead to an interesting watch in the same way that stuff like Dex and Clash do. I also brought up the skill-based stuff entirely because of Destral coming out recently, which some people questioned its need for an existence, which I full-heartedly believe it does deserve to exist because it does provide something interesting.
I agree.
It's completely different. The best people in 1.12 are not the same best people in 1.8. That's easy to see.
I didn't know people were questioning Destral because when I saw it, I thought this is actually a really good idea. Like the PvP in between 1.8 and 1.12 is extraordinarily different, and I mean, I think it adds a whole new level of skill. I think it definitely deserves its place on the subreddit.
Yeah.
It feels like the natural progression. You had rounds that were treating the newer versions like some sort of experiment in cheaper by the dozen and 1/9 minors. Then it becomes a bit more of the norm, and you get rounds that just exist or do individual seasons in. And then when you develop a community surrounding that, alphas are gonna emerge, and then you put them against each other. And I think it's probably about time that a round like that existed.
All right. So
hold on a minute. I've realized unfortunately, before we move into top 100, there is one round that we do kind of have to talk about. We can't go for the whole time without mentioning it because we've barely mentioned it so far.
What round?
All-Star Season 5. Because that was, I think, probably the most significant recorded round to come out in the past year. Because it just said a lot and had a lot going on with it.
What do you want to talk about? Was that released in 2018? Wasn't this released
No.
Was it 2018 or was it 2019? I don't remember. I played it. I don't remember when it was released.
Late 2019?
Was it 2019?
Yeah, it was late 19. Yeah.
Oh no, it was. Yeah, you're right. No, I'm okay. Ignore me. Sorry.
It's fine. The first thing to mainly talk about is All-Star Season 5 being the last All-Stars, which was a highly contended point of discussion.
Oh yeah, that got a lot of thing.
What does everyone think about that?
That blew up big time.
Wasn't the point people were saying it's nobody's individual right to deem all stars over because no one owns the concept? Was that most people who were against its point?
Yes.
I have a counterpoint to that. Yes, they do. The people who created All Stars in the first place, they were the ones who created the concept.
Should we get Venny in the call real quick?
I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Venny has already publicly stated that I think he said that it should have been the last one. I don't know if that's true, but I think I remember him saying that.
Venny's pestering me to set up authentication for GTA 5, so I don't want him in this call. It's just gonna be he's gonna make one comment about All Stars and then start talking about GTA 5. So, but yeah, it's people were commenting on that exactly, that no sole person owns All Stars. In reality, though, it's 100% Wing and Venny, and since then it's just been whether or not All Stars existed has been due to Wing and Venny.
Yeah,
more so Venny because Wing is of course kind of gone away from the UHC community, but at the end of the day, it's all still down on Venny's whim.
Exactly.
The people he's trusted to do it wouldn't hand it off on other people at random because Venny trusts them to do it.
I can't believe we're trusting Venny with all stuff.
This is terrible.
This is actually hideous.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I love Venny. No, seriously, I completely agree though. If Venny said that it should be the last one, then I think it should be the last one.
And without getting too accusatory and pointing my fingers at people and calling them out, it feels like the people who have deemed that All Stars is a community-owned thing is the community. They've just kind of the meme image of I made this, hands it to someone, they're holding it, and it's I made this. They've just it seems to just kind of be a community thing that they've just kind of people have just gone, this is our thing, this is our tree, we did this, and in reality, people still organized it.
Right, and that it relates really strongly in my mind to when record around intros would say ultrahardcore subreddit presents. It goes, no, the organizers present this round to the subreddit.
That's a good point, actually.
People forget that the subreddit is just a platform for things. It's not, you don't own anything that's there. It's not you can have memories, nostalgia, opinions on things, but posted there by someone.
So I think the real question here is: do you guys think All Stars, are you happy that All Stars has ended? Or like, what do you think could quote unquote replace it? What do you guys think about the whole situation?
My stance on it is, if I was in charge of All Stars, would I have killed it? Probably not. Am I fine with it being dead? I'd say so. I'm okay with it being dead because it leads the way for new things. And I guess the extreme point is, oh, All Stars is getting old, but it's like, is there that much harm in trying out new things every now and again?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, as someone who's been a viewer since before the first All Stars and is only now getting in the rounds, of course, I would like the idea of like, ooh, like look, it's a round I'm in All Stars. Look, it's the organizer I talked to, etc. I don't. I think the community is way distance from it, and it's like that inseparable thing from the nostalgia factor, because you're not going to get, the classic AP and Phobia teams back in the race playing again. And there are so many new rounds now that it'd be hard to catch up, and there'd be even more controversy on what constitutes an all-star round and what doesn't. And we have rising stars still, I think. And I just, there are so many season ones too that you have plenty to watch. And if you want to watch a round that has a lot of nostalgia behind it with really cool teams, and just go to a round that was in All Stars that's still alive, or go to a new round with lots of production. And I really think it was a smart call, though I think I can understand why a lot of people were upset by it because they wanted to see it continue and succeed. But I think in its format, it couldn't succeed if it tried to move any further.
Can I also say one other thing about All Stars?
Mm.
As someone who played the last 2 seasons of it, from a production value, it took way longer every season to get get out and out. Like the first one, I remember took about I can't remember. It was like maybe half a year, maybe or something like that. Maybe a bit less for the intro to be finished. But then season 5 took about a year.
Season 5 was I think it was something ridiculous.
It was 11 months.
It was
at most.
Oh no! It was over a year.
It was over a year. It was over a year. I think I still have the footage on my hard drive. Actually, I don't have it plugged in, but I still have the footage from it. I don't remember when it was recorded.
I met up with Rari and Tiago in August 2018, and I'd been told it had been recorded, and it didn't come out until the end of 2019.
But that's another thing.
That was just ridiculous to me. I was like, wait, hang on, wasn't I told about this last summer?
The thing is, the production value just seems to keep taking longer and longer per season because the expectations kept getting higher and higher and higher. I think if another All Stars was created, it could not beat what has already done, and if it did, it would take even probably longer than that. Personally, it just doesn't seem to me worthwhile, and I think it's ended on a high note. I think All Stars 5 was great, in my opinion.
I agree,
I think it had a really solid roster, a large amount of returning players, returning rounds. I think it's a great way to go out.
Yeah, that's why you leave it, because the send off was so good. You don't want to risk bringing it back.
Exactly. AP is a prime example.
It's the interesting case of, if All Stars wasn't going to be dead, we wouldn't have what we got in All Stars 5.
Exactly.
It just wouldn't have been a thing.
You would have only invited those rounds back for the final season.
Yeah, it would have been just a standard All-Star season with some teams missing a few, because even at this point there were rounds who were we're probably not going to participate in more, and only participated because it was the last.
Yeah.
So it would have just been just a mishmash of a good few of the popular rounds with one or two more, and you wouldn't have gotten the humongous game with many returning players that we did eventually get.
All Stars 6 would just be, in my opinion, if it was to be a thing, you'd be missing at least 3/4 of the original All Stars 5 roster rounds. You'd probably have a few of the up and coming seasons, up and coming UHC stuff, maybe some from Rising Stars and stuff. But that would be it. And it just, I mean, sure. You could still consider All Stars if they're still like more popular players, but I can guarantee you that they would not have anywhere near the same level as hype. And I think it would, similar to how like a lot of people, I think AP is a good example. AP10 was amazing, and then AP11 was Like I think that's just sort of like the thing. Like I think you should kill something while it's doing really well instead of just keeping it going and going for like years and years. I think this was a great time to finish it personally.
Can I just ask a question for anyone who knows? Is Rising Stars also ending, or are they carrying on in the absence of All Stars?
I won't speak for Gus, as I'm not personally that confident, but from what I understand, I'm pretty sure it is dying with All Stars.
I think that's correct.
Because what's a Rising Star if you don't have an All Star to go towards?
Exactly. I think. But I mean, it's a shame that the last Rising Stars came out after the last All Stars. I think having it in reverse order would have been more appropriate.
You can't really help it. I mean, if you were to,
it's not their fault.
Let's be honest. If you were to make All Stars 5 come out after the latest season of Rising Stars, you would have been waiting at least 2 years from the recording of All Stars 5 to uploading it, and it was already so long that I think a good few people were already considering just not uploading it because of how long it was taking.
There's one distinct advantage to Rising Stars being handled after All Stars, and that was I have a strong feeling that a lot of the decisions based on the last Rising Stars were based on the fact that All Stars 5 had been recorded, and I don't think International would have played Rising Stars if people didn't know, like organizers in Rising Stars didn't know that International didn't play All Stars, because International for me feels like one of those rounds that could definitely appear in an All Stars, but they didn't. And if you handled Rising Stars before then International might have gone International, which is definitely an All Stars level round, might have just gone their whole time without appearing in any round to represent up and coming rounds or successful rounds.
Yeah, that's true.
Which would have felt pretty dirty to them. So it's obviously it's not like the one saving grace to it all, but it's one positive I can think in that.
Okay. We're about an hour and 45 minutes into this. Should we move on to the second topic?
Okay.
Okay, what are you gonna say?
Okay, before we want to end the topic, I just want to. This is more of a stats thing. No one can. You don't have to comment on that. This is just a stats thing. From 2019, the old rounds returning. We have Inseparable, which died immediately after, but yeah. Chroma, which is still going on recently. Risk and Reward, I'm in it, yay.
Risk and
Reward has never died. I can guarantee. I've been in it since season 7.
But then again, it returned.
Never died. They just.
But then again,
they don't have seasons for like 6+ months.
Yeah, but it returned in like 1.5 years, so it's still amusing to mention now.
Fair enough.
True.
All Stars, which like is supposed to come out like earlier, but it didn't. But it came out like at the end of like last year, so that's cool as well. Out of Orbit came back for one last season.
Big fan of
that.
Yeah,
I was very happy about that.
And we have that one round which I would never expect to come back ever again, Walking the Plains.
I don't know if Walking the Plains ever died. I think just for some reason, and I can't speak for what happened, it just didn't have a season for like a year.
I heard that is
a good example of that as well.
Addiction as well. I forgot to add that. Yeah, Addiction as well. Yes.
Two returning old rounds.
If Addiction formally died, someone inform me. But
I don't think. I think it. I heard from someone that it was a similar state to Risk and Reward. Like they just play whenever they feel like it.
I feel like it definitely did die during its first big gap, and then Craft organized a return season and was like, here you go, here's a little fun return season. And then there was just a Discord was left without any intent of planning much future stuff, and then Scott was like, fuck this, we're gonna make more. Because Scott Perry is a recorded round machine.
All right, so we have been 1 hour and 50 minutes. We are totally not overtime on this.
This is,
to be fair, it's been like a lot. It's been a long time. I think people expect a lot of
yeah.
I mean,
if we're gonna release once a year, we should give people something worth watching.
Alright.
You could put like timestamps in like the description.
Oh,
or something.
we
definitely
always
will
do,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
So people can like come
right
back
now
to
would
them.
be the discussion about timestamps, for
I'm
example.
not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do timestamps for discussions of specific RRs, but
I would like you to make a timestamp for this specific moment talking about timestamps.
All right, no.
well, there technically will be one because I'm going to deem this the point where we move on to topic number 2, because or even though it's nearly halfway into the year, but this is the top 100 intros of 2019.
Right.
So,
We can make good intros.
Right, so let's go through all 100.
so generally what we've done
Number
previously,
100.
which is what I want us to do.
I did a live reaction to these, so.
I also did a live reaction.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
I
so
actually watched it, and that is saying something for me.
I don't want to take over, but there are, I think, I have a few things I want to talk about, but that's really it.
Okay, so what we were going to do is, at some point, we're going to talk with the top 10. We will just discuss from 10 through to 1, and then anybody is welcome to bring anything to the table of rounds they want to talk about for positionings, whether they think it was too low or high, things that even missed out completely if you want. But before we actually go on to talk about specific rounds, something which you all may have forgotten about, which was a controversy within the RR Discord, and I think is probably the only reason why my own rounds intro hit the top spot, which was Kinako's controversial decision to disallow any previous number 1 reaching intros from appearing in this list at all. Does anybody have any opinions on that to open?
Not
to
really.
open the discussion?
Not really. I feel like it's fine.
I think it's okay.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I mean, I think it's fine.
Wow,
we just come to accept it. Yeah, we just.
I don't think it's that bad of an idea. Like I think it's okay.
It's like reasonable, for me.
I just think because it was the 5th one, and it's something that's never been done before. It would just have, like if that had been a tradition since Burning released the 2nd one in 2016, then do you know what? Fair dues. But it just felt weird to me. Like
for me,
I thought I thought it was fine.
And like I don't know, just say the round that finished 2nd in 2018 had won in 2019. Would that not have taken it away from it a bit? If you're there in the knowledge that you reached number 1 because the one that people really would have wanted as number 1 just wasn't allowed to even compete. I don't know. It just felt.
I think my main counter to that specific scenario is A, very rare scenario to happen because more intros released all the time, and B, if we were in a scenario where 2017 an intro comes first and an intro comes second, if we were to be in this scenario where in 2018 in the 2nd year that second entry would have come first, it would either be that second entry comes first if we don't allow previous winners, or the one that came first would have just won again, 2nd year in a row, which would be less interesting.
Okay, my other point is I think you look at the original top 100 and compare it to the one that came out last year, and I just think it's testament to how much production value has come on, how much more talented people have gotten as intros, and it's very interesting to see. And I think that is why it's not as much a competition, but also looking back down the years and seeing how rounds compared in previous years to how they stand the test of time. And what I want to see is the round that people deemed the best in 2016, where does that appear now in people's opinions? Like, how much has it fallen down the rankings? Like, I just think that's interesting. It's interesting to see. You want to see where these rounds compare in the modern day, and I think by stopping them from competing, you're just kind of
that argument I actually understand quite well.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That. I think if they do a number 7, if they do a 6th one, I think they should allow all rounds.
I think they will. I'm sure whether Key decides to do it himself or not, or hand it on someone else, I'm sure someone will make it. And I think it was it was an experiment. I'm not bashing Key for deciding to do it. Like, I get there are merits to it. Give other people a chance of winning, sort of thing. And obviously, I'm glad they did. But I would reverse it if there is a 6th one at some point in the next well,
Okay.
for the rest of 2020. But talking about the order itself, do we want to start by just going down from 10?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 10, WMC Season 20.
Solid.
Anybody? Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's still my favorite intro.
Weirdly
Yeah.
enough, when I
They're
first
just-
saw it, I didn't like it much. I don't know why. When I first saw it, like for the first time, I was like, I don't know. I don't. I think I couldn't read some of the names as quickly, but after rewatching it a good few times, I now understand why people like it so much, and it is definitely, I think, deserving of its place now. Now that I've rewatched it a couple times,
It's like the few intros that people still like. It still has a place in everyone's hearts after such a long time. Another being season 13 of WMC as well, which I want to mention.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely that one is still in my personal up there in my personal top few.
Coincidentally, they're both made by learning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he knows how to make an
It's
intro.
almost yeah, he's good at that.
Or
WMC
five in
Alright.
my head, like when I first saw, I was because now I think I expect a certain thing from intro production, which I don't think is the best thing in the world. To a certain point, it's very hard to like have an intro that shows up that like jumps out at you. I think I can remember 5 instances where an intro actually jumped out at me. One was WMC 13, the other was WMC 20, which is still my personal favorite. Get to another one that's on this list, and then All Stars 3 and All Stars 5. Those are the 5 that like actually jumped out at me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool intro, more so than the rest.
If I had to think about it properly, the three that have shouted out the most to me were WMC 13, All Stars 3, and one that no one's mentioned because I think it came first, and one of the other ones, AP 10.
Oh,
Mhm.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
AP 10 is I don't know if this is controversial or not. I don't know if it's just my nostalgia brain ticking, but AP 10 is my favorite intro ever. Genuinely,
Made by
That is
learning
my-
again. Oh,
I
wait.
love AP 10. So I don't know if it's the music, the render. I don't know. I think it's just everything combined. AP 10 is still my favorite intro.
Do you know
and
what?
again, I think it was made by learning.
Yes, I don't want to mention that.
The
Jesus.
funny thing with AP10 is like it AP10 genuinely spells out to me how important music is in an intro, because there are some versions which I genuinely adore and other episodes intros which I genuinely hate. And I think that
That's fair.
tells you everything
All right.
about it. Are we
So-
moving on? Or-
Yeah, sure.
Right, number
All
9.
Stars.
Go for it.
All Stars 4. So for me, there's like that one conversation that I saw during the live chat, I think, that season 3 is better or season 4 intro is better.
3.
3.
I feel like
3 jumped out at me more,
Yeah,
but
I think
I
it's-
definitely see the appeal in 4.
I feel like 4 jump out of me more, to be honest,
Okay.
for some reason. Yeah. But then again, it could be that season 4 had that kind of like recency bias sort of thing, but then again, they're both really decent intros, so I don't have much to complain about. And then again, season 4 intro is also made by learning. I just
And-
want to mention
Wow.
that.
Another thing, I mean, I know we're only talking about the top 10, but I mean, you say All Stars 3 was better than All Stars 4. I mean, I think recency bias might be a thing because All Stars 3 is only 4 places lower than it in the top 10. All Stars 3 is number 13, and All
Mm.
Stars
That
4
is.
is only number 9. So like, I like that just shows how good it was. If it's like, and that's a year's difference.
Wait, hang on.
Mhm.
No, that was in 13th, and according to this, it was -4. So All Stars 3 landed the
ninth
previous
originally.
year, where All Stars 4
Wow.
was this
Yeah.
year, which is interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8, we have Infusion
I got to rewatch this one.
Yeah.
from
I-
DAFs, I
Give
think.
me 1
Yeah.
minute, I gotta rewatch it.
So
Nope,
this
that's
intro
Jake's
was
perspective,
actually
that's not the intro.
so this intro I put it actually like also I voted for the list. I voted for my like the 3 top 10 list as well. So I put this in a rather like low spots for me, but I can see the appeal to it because it's actually really creative and stuff. So like each tag is different and stuff. I can see the effort put into it. So yeah, and there's also a new intro, so maybe the recency bias is also somewhat there, but needless to say, it's just a really decent intro as well overall. It's really enjoyable.
I'm watching it right now. I don't think I've watched this in ages. Maybe one. I think I've probably only ever watched it once, probably before this. I don't know what it's doing this high. I like it. It's really good. I do like it, but I don't think it's like the same level as like All Stars 4. Personally, I like the intro though.
Yeah,
I think I've made this comment before about this intro. Is to me it feels like it still fits the like the model of like a very standard like your typical R intro. It just does it incredibly well.
Yeah,
It's about the best intro you can make by still following the standard intro formula. It's just usually the intros that are most memorable for being the best tend to be a lot more out there and strange, and not the standard intro methods.
I think that's a good point. It doesn't have like an epic scale to it, but it's incredibly well done.
It's just it's pretty basic, but it's still it's pretty damn good for what it is.
All right. So, I guess we can move on to number 7, Back in Time Season 5.
Which is another one which I'd put in that bracket of being very, very standard, but just being excellent at being standard.
Yeah, I agree there, yeah.
Is it bad that I actually would put this in the top 10 myself?
I wouldn't either.
Dude, my perspective of rounds is so weird. There were some rounds in the top 10 where I think these are okay, or I don't think they're top 10 worthy. And there were others which you guys seem to think are like the same as that, but I think are top 10 worthy.
Back in Time 5, I don't think it's top 10 worthy at all. Like, not
Yeah,
even close.
same.
I personally really like it myself. I do. I don't know what it is about it. I do
It's
like
the art
it.
for me.
I don't know. It just never got to me, this kind of intro, but it's
Oh,
a
when
very
you
well
played
edited.
this.
Yeah, it's well edited and all, but it just didn't get to me somehow. It might be just a personal thing, but yeah.
That's fair. I mean, there's another one coming up. There's another 2 coming up that I personally don't like that I know a lot of other people do like.
So,
All right.
We'll get to that later.
One last thing I want to mention about Back in Time 5, which is why I think it got quite a lot of people excited, was the music used was the same that was used in Brick's unreleased WMC Season 18 intro. I don't know if people remember that.
Fact.
And at the time, I remember because the beginning is out there. You can watch it, like what he got done before he gave up with the project. And I think a lot of people would have said, like, if he had finished that at the time, it would have been the best intro ever. And then Brick comes back with another intro using the music that he wasted in WMC 18. I think quite a lot of people were quite excited about that awesome song finally being put to good use, and I think the music and the art contributes quite a lot to why people remember Bit 5 so fondly.
All right.
In my mind, though, I think the comparison in my mind is, well, WMC failed 18, way better than this. Like it challenges what an intro can be a lot more than what this does. I just felt like it was a waste.
Agreed.
All right.
Interesting.
Number 6 is Out of Orbit Season 7. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I need to rewatch it.
For me, it's just like it's decent, but never got to me as well because my taste is very different from others, so I wouldn't judge about it. It's a very decently made intro, yeah. That's what I'm gonna say.
I like it. I think it's fun. It's funky. Maybe a little too high, but it's justified in the top 10.
Do you know what? It's very out of orbit. That's what their intro is. I like, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
But
I
this is
really
definitely
like this intro.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this. This is really good. I think
Is
that
it-
might be just because I'm a sucker for animated renders, though.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I love animation in intros.
I like the dances.
So-
They're funny.
It is pretty funny.
All right, so moving on, we have the top 5, which is something I want to mention for this topic, because so basically what happened was the day after the top 100 is released, because I was sleeping that time because time zones. I should be sleeping now, but still I'm here, so yeah.
Thank
nice.
you, Fancyyy. We love you.
All right, so basically the day after I woke up, I was like, oh, I'm gonna stream this, and then someone messaged me about this top 5 being extremely controversial among people. So we're gonna start off now. Number 5, Quixotic Season 3.
Probably the intro that gained the most from recency bias.
I think it's good.
I
think it is a good intro.
I think it's good, just not top 5 for you.
Yeah.
No,
it's not something you'd like expect to see in like a top 10, but I mean, it's definitely solid. Like I don't want people saying like if we say it's not top 10, well, I don't want people misunderstanding that for saying it's bad, because it definitely isn't bad.
Yeah, if I saw this at like 35 as opposed to 5, I'd be like, yeah,
that makes sense.
That makes sense. 5?
I don't know.
5 is high.
I'd vouch for it. I think there's a lot of really cool things done with singing, especially. I think as far as FFA intros go, it's very easy for them to be trite, and I think this is far, far from it.
The art's pretty good too. I do like the art.
The art's good. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's like holding me on to Back in Time 5 is not completely disappointing. Is that the art is good too.
All right. I guess we're done with this. Not much to say. Number 4 is TBA 2, which I assume someone has a lot to talk about.
I'll let you guys talk about it first.
I love it.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic.
It's way ahead of its time.
I think it's kind of gone down as a bit of a classic.
It's a classic. I think it's like I think in terms of it's really cool. It's really creative. Like back then, it's a really cool thing. Now it's still a cool thing. But for me, like the only downside is that it's fast. Yeah, it's really fast.
I can't find anything on this season anywhere. Have I spelled it wrong?
To be adventurous, TBA.
I cannot find it. Instead, I found Astrology UHC Season 2 montage and searching this up. I'm very confused. Fancyyy, have you broken YouTube or something to advertise your round?
I am very sorry you have found me out. Holy.
While you're looking for whatever you're looking for, if I could just interject. I think in the same way we've just been criticising, well not criticising, but talking about rounds like Back in Time 5 as sort of following the generic pattern and talking about that as some sort of a bad thing. For a very long time, TBA 2 was the only intro that wasn't like that. Like, rounds used to be the teams all appeared on the screen in the same order. It went 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't go 2 and 3 at the same time, 1, 4. Like, you didn't get all of that. This was the first and only round to do that. And it remained that way for quite a long time afterwards. I think nowadays, because you need to do something special with a round for it to win an intro to get it to be good, like, people like do different things, but this was the first of that kind of intro, and I think people will always remember it fondly for such reasons. But Joey, I think you're probably going to put a slightly more negative slants on it.
I am so sorry to say this. I don't like. I just rewatched it again, and I don't like it. I like it even less actually now. To be honest, personally, like it's not a bad intro, but it's just not my thing. It's just it's not my thing. Like some of the team names are too long and I can't read them. The music isn't my thing in general, so I'm probably a bit biased because of that, because it's not the type of music I would listen to. But just in general, it just doesn't seem that interesting to me.
I'm gonna go get a rum and coke. I'll be back presently.
One thing I do like about the intro, though, that I didn't notice is one specific. I guess if you guys don't mind me talking about the intro for a bit, there's a team reunion. I like how it goes like seemingly from I think it's Nick and Matt. Like they go from a team of they go from like basic renders to like to like really cool updated renders, and it's like reunion. I really like that. That's a really nice touch.
I think it is just
that's a beautiful touch.
I think it's just a straight rip of like of their team from the New Dawn intro that they teamed in. So it's like here's their team here, and then it goes bam.
It's like an upgrade. I really like that. That is a very nice touch, but like it just all goes way too fast with a song I'm not personally too huge on, and I can't understand it myself personally why it's this high. But I totally get why other people do like it. I can understand, and I understand that this was released ages ago, so like it was before its time. So like I understand that, but like these days, I don't know why it's that high. That's my personal opinion. I'm so sorry to anyone who I offend.
No. Fair point. All right, so I assume we're done with this for now.
Yeah, next one.
Moving on is Chroma Season 3. Maintained its spot since 2018. Still at the same spot at number 3.
For me, lost a lot of its magic when I learned that the background footage is stock footage.
Oh,
What is
is
that?
it?
Okay, dumb question. What's the difference? Like what's so bad about that?
It's like a lot for me. It feels like a lot of the interesting stuff from the intro is how you present the visuals, and like it's a lot of how the intro maker presents the visuals. Like they go, I want the footage to look this way. I want things to look this way. But for Chroma, the footage, the background footage is taken exactly from a video that someone's already uploaded and made that stock footage available. The effects that are on the footage are from the stock footage. Like it's not like they went, okay, here's some Minecraft footage. I'm gonna put a slant on it, put some color shifts there. That's how the footage looks normally, and it kind of took away a lot of the magic for me because it feels it feels less like it was crafted and thought out. Like this is how I wanted to look, and it's just more like, oh, we got this footage. I guess we can do this with it.
Can't you make the same criticisms about WMC7 if we're talking much further back? Wasn't that a template?
I think WMC, yeah,
I
I think
made that up?
same, yeah, and I same thoughts about Chroma. I would say for that intro as well.
I could also personally say that like the when WMC7 was like like the standards weren't very high. There weren't many recorded rounds back then to really compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's kind of, like you were sort of still in like the realm of like for like Minecraft style intros, where like using footage like that is probably like considered okay, I guess. But like if you go like 2018, the production, like you've had a lot of stellar intros with like great animations and effects by this point. I think I think it's a bit less okay, but I don't know. Personally, my issue is just the song bothers me. Okay, but this song isn't that I don't like the song. It's just like it felt like it was just like screaming in my ear. Like
The day's my
my
enemy.
song is honestly
I didn't
the
like
favourite part of
that. Like it didn't feel like it suited an intro. That really
don't-
bothered me from the moment I started watching it.
If you'd have
The
told me the
music-
song in advance, I wouldn't have thought it fitted
The
the intro.
animations
But
are
when
cool,
you put
though.
it with
I
the
like
intro,
I like
it's
the
cool.
visuals. I know them being from like stock footage is a bit concerning. I love the visuals. It's just I don't think the song fit. I think the song would fit more in like Phobia or something.
Yeah.
Like, it gives me more of a fight.
I would say I don't take my statement as me saying it makes the intro worse. It just for me it just kind of takes a little bit of the wind out of it because it feels less like someone was like this is how I want it to look and more like I guess put an extreme term an accident.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, we have this footage, we'll do this with it.
So for me, the music just not my type, but
Yeah, same.
decent.
Yeah, visuals are good. Music a bit
All right.
doesn't really seem like Chroma. Again, I think it would fit more like something like Phobia maybe.
All right. So number 2, in my opinion, the second champion that should have been also be considered a champion, Cinema Season 8. Season 6, sorry. I'm
What do you
blind.
know that we don't?
Cinema
This is-
Season 6.
Oh, fantastic.
Cinema 6, beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful
really
intro.
nice.
Just
It's a really
Okay.
solid.
I don't know. I
Genuinely
think
incredible.
I think the renders are amazing. I just think I don't see how it's that special. I guess.
Do you think it's like too much? Like, because I can.
I think there's a lot going on, and I don't think it's that organized.
That
And
makes sense.
yeah.
I'm watching it right now, and I can understand why you would feel that way, but it just.
I appreciate the editing. I really appreciate the renders and the individual texts, but I think if you're going to be that ambitious with an intro, then you should do it a little more like number 1, so it all feels cohesive. I don't know. I think it's a case of ambition exceeds performance. No, it's a very unpopular opinion for this intro.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, Gavin, you literally just heard me like this on like number like another 2 really popular intros. Like, I think you dissing on this is actually dissing is probably the wrong word. I'm so sorry, God, I'm not with it. Criticizing, that's a better word to use. God, I'm sorry.
I'm criticizing the intro. I'm skeptical of its placement.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not gonna talk it.
Don't worry about it.
All right. I assume we don't have much.
I love
Solid
Sim.
intro.
I do
Top
love
spot.
Cinema 6. Great intro, personally.
Mm-hmm. Solid intro. Yes.
Number
All
one.
right.
I'm taking this one.
It makes
7.
sense that
This is
Dogs take this one.
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, my
It's
bad.
it's one of those TGF7. It's one of those weird things for me because obviously I'm very proud of it, but I had nothing to do with it. Like I don't want to sit here and take any sort of credit for it. But yeah, I think the thing that gets me with this is the fact that the animations were amazing and yet Bushy still stole the show. I think the intro was better than the animations, which was pretty hard to achieve because the
I feel like
The best part is how well they fit together.
Mm-hmm.
It all felt purposeful, and it all felt. It was incredible to watch. Like it's one of the few intros. Like I said, this would be the fifth that like blew me away the first time watching it.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm a sucker for animation, and this it blew me away from the moment I first saw it. It's beautiful, genuinely, completely deserving of number one, in my opinion.
I think All Stars 5 should have beaten it if it had been out in time, but obviously
that I can agree on. But
so
the situation, it's brilliant.
Are we interjecting now? Is that what we're moving on to? Is everyone finished with the top 10 or?
Hold up. I would like to. I feel like some people were actually like not happy with this being number one with like their own points, which I could understand at some point. But some people were like, I'm not sure if anyone's said about this, but they might have said that like this intro got number one because it got the like animation and stuff. But for me, like the intro itself was also edited well enough for me to consider it as contender for number one as well. So yeah.
Yeah, the intro had to be good. The animation wasn't so out of this world that it would have carried a Dross intro to the top spot. Like Bushy was faced with the task of, when you've waited 11 months to have animations done, an intro maker has a lot of pressure to do something that lives up to the expectation that the animations hold. And yeah, Bushy in 3 weeks made that happen. So yeah,
this is going to be a very controversial statement and very out there, which I want to preface by saying I do think that the TGF intro is very good, but I feel like TGF 7. This is already sounds really weird in my head what I'm about to say, but TGF 7 deserves to, is going to win the top 100 intros in the same way that a film about a gay disabled Native American and his fight against cancer is going to win the Oscar for best film. It feels like it's one of those that just kind of fits the template of, without even watching it, if you just describe it, it fits the template of, oh, this is going to win. That's like without even going to the effort, just the without the effort put in, just the idea that it is an intro that is an intro that is animated art told together like a TV show intro. It's just like by definition, it's like this could very easily win.
I don't understand your connection at all.
No, I get what you're saying.
Is that bad? I don't get it.
No, I don't get anything
of what you just said.
I understand what you're saying. I don't understand what the point.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just don't know whether you're saying it positively or negatively.
Popular elements of the intro made an intro popular.
It's a pretty neutral statement. I'll say that. It's not really a positive or negative, and I feel like it could be sound like either. But it's just a very neutral statement by pure definition. I guess it could put it on a more negative slant where I feel like just due to how the intro was composed, the quality of the animated art at the end of the day wasn't really a factor. It was just a case of the fact that there was animated art and it wasn't done terribly is enough for a win. Because I do think the art was done well, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the art being done well was the animated art being done well was not to its benefit, but it was just kind of, it wouldn't have really affected it. It was just the fact it had animated art in the first place.
So if you put worse quality animated art in the same intro, you think it still would have hit number one?
I think so. Yeah, I think just the nature of the fact it's animated art. I think just the fact it's animated art and it wasn't done terribly. It was done fairly all right. Was just enough for it to be a number one.
Okay, I understand a bit more what you mean now. Okay,
it was something
now.
People have been asking for it for quite a long time, an animated art intro, which was why I was happy for him to do it when Soul offered.
I think animated art is worthy of number one though, because like that's hard to do, and that's a lot of effort put in, and it does look really good. I think it is worthy of number one, but I do understand what you mean, Dom. I understand now.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think it's the best animated art intro in the top 100. I think there is one that's better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That segues into the next part of the.
Well, I was going to start by saying a placement, but if yours specifically relates to what we've just been talking about, you might as well open us up, Dom.
Yeah, I was just gonna, if we're gonna segue things, say that I think the intro that Zev did for the Clash,
that's a very good one.
I think in terms of an animated art intro, I think that one's better. I think it's
solely on quality of art.
I'd say that while I would say that the quality art is better, I just say it's better. Just full stop. Just a better intro. I think it's more enjoyable watch for me. That's my stance.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't even know what intro you're talking about. I'll be dead honest. I've never seen it. I'm not going to say you're wrong.
It ended number 12 this year. Well, last year. Ugh.
12.
New Dawn versus
it's an
our Clash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's one of the intros that I'm pleasantly surprised that got high on the list.
Yeah, being a Clash intro, I was terrified it was just going to get, it's a Clash intro, it's just going to get ignored.
Can I open off the controversial placements by talking about a top 10 quality intro that didn't even get into the top half?
Sure.
So Chunk Loader Refraction getting in at number 53 is an absolute disgrace.
That's the
art on the walls of the THS3.
Yeah.
What
That's
the fuck?
That's a really good intro.
Not 53 and down 34 places from last year. People just forgot about it. I think probably because Chunk Loader is around isn't that memorable. Therefore, the intros went out of favour with it.
My opinion, I agree it's low. I wouldn't put it top 10. I think around the 20s to 30s, I think it would be a comfortable place for it.
It's one of my favourite. I think it's better. Controversially, I think it's better. Chunk Loader Refraction is better than Chunk Loader Redux.
Alright.
I'd have that higher.
I also have one intro that I am surprised that it dropped so much. Recovery Season 4 at 91, dropping 70 places.
Oh, fucking hell.
I think that one in 2018, I think benefited a lot from recency. It was just a case of, it was one of those intros that was the default format, but done really well. But since that one came out, we've had other intros that were default format, but done better. And as a result, I think it devalued it a lot.
There is one intro actually in the top 100 that I'm actually seeing. Like I was looking for the Recovery 4 placement, and I got reminded of another intro that's actually quite far down. That I don't know how. Hang on, I gotta try and find the intro for this. I don't know if I can find it. I believe I'm right about this. The Alternative Cataclysm 5 intro.
I was literally about to bring that up.
I think that was if it's the one I'm remembering, I think it is. I think I might be wrong. I think it was made by Zenzian.
Yes, one of the players had a tank. I love
that one. That one was amazing. I'm really sad that
Joey, you are such a sucker for an animated intro, aren't you?
Dude, I love it. Dude, no, because I know it's just. I think intros these days, or like some intros these days, are just plain renders. They just feel boring to me. So like to have something else to look at, something going on the screen other than just like a render being flat on the screen, like seeing something going on. It just makes me so much more interested in what's going on.
While I have you here, can I just ask your opinion on something? As the organizer, a conversation I had recently with Key, he seems to think that Pathfinder 7 is better than Pathfinder 3. I just don't understand that.
I need to remember Pathfinder. I
want to say
I need to rewatch them both.
I want to say that I like 7 more than 3. I'm one of them.
Really?
Yes.
Pathfinder 7 is better than Pathfinder 3.
How? It's cool animations. There's nothing. I don't see
I
anything
feel like
special
I feel like the
about
little
Pathfinder
details
7.
that add on to 7 and stuff, like it caught my attention more than 3
So
for
many
me.
details. I love the art. Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, I understand why people like 3 more than
honest.
7.
Rewatching season 7, I forgot how good it was. I forgot how good season 7 was. I love season 3. I think season 3's really high up there. But
That's really interesting. I
don't know if I can pick them anymore. I love season 7 too. I also love season 9. That's another one I like. I think season 9 is also very solid. That was made by Bill. I really like that one as well.
Which one?
Season 9.
The old one.
I thought you made season 9.
No, I made season 8. And we don't talk about my intros. My intros are not good normally.
Okay,
I like
your one was good.
Season 3, 7, and 9 are my personal are some of my personal favorites. But yeah, I totally see why Key and other people would like this one more. I really like this intro we were watching. I forgot how good it was, which is sad considering it's my own recorded round.
Was season 10 released in time to get into the top 100 last year?
I don't know. Season 10 is probably my personal favorite Pathfinder intro, but that's only due to me being.
Which one is it? Wait, which season is
season
it?
10
the
was
one
like
that's like
an
a
anniversary
remake
season, and it just like
season 1.
10 is a big number for an organizer.
Oh, is it the one where there's like animated things?
Yeah, and like the backgrounds were like where the person lives IRL.
I love how I just got Anfield because no one knew where I lived.
Like it was just like I love all the effects that Bill put in. The music is just so emotional, and like as an organizer hitting 10 seasons, it was just everything I could ask for. Like that I know it's not the best Pathfinder intro, but season 10 is my personal favorite just as an organizer. I just it really hits me emotionally.
And I finally won a round after 4 years of playing them, which was nice. And I got to team with Matthew, which is always good.
That's a win-win in my books.
Okay.
Gavin, have you and Matthew got some sort of weird bromance that we need to address?
Yes, but it doesn't need addressing. Let's just leave it at that, okay? We're just appreciate each other.
I want to dip back onto the top 100 here, and I want to give a very important shout out to the fact that we as a community have finally recognized the brilliance that is Mind Time Season 6.
Okay,
First,
I need to be what is that?
Okay,
is it the one?
This is the
where...
first time it has ever ranked in the top 100. It was released in 2014, and
is it the one where?
And it would genuinely be it would be a standout as a good intro if it was released last year. It's an intro that is so well made and is so ahead of its time. It's unbelievable.
Is it the one where everyone falls from the?
Oh shit! This intro.
Yeah, it's so ahead of its time.
I love this intro.
It was.
I remember this now. This is such a good intro.
It's animated so well, and it was made in 2014.
This is such a good intro. Holy! I'll put it.
Is it the one where everyone falls from the someplace or something?
It's like falling through like the time warp. It's like it's like Doctor Who themed.
I'll put it in the Discord for anyone that wants to watch it. It's time stamped.
I'm recording, so I won't watch it. So I don't want the audio.
You just mute it. But... It's purely just based on the visuals.
Okay, why not?
This is such a good intro.
Oh yeah, it's this one.
What placement did it get?
It's got 98.
What?
Finally.
And this
is
the
better
first
than
time.
nothing.
No.
It's the first time it's ever ranked here.
You listening to this podcast, you failed me.
No, baby steps. The fact that it even got here in the first place shows progress.
That is so Doctor Who. That's a fucking time vortex, if ever I've seen one. It's got Somika in it. Oh, nice voice break.
I really hope I haven't offended anyone. I feel like about this whole podcast, I've just offended people.
Joey, I don't think you've offended anybody.
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh,
Back when teams were different sizes in the same round.
Hmm.
Hey, isn't that the one they had like a team of 3?
That's
The rest were
probably
teams of 2? I think. I don't know. It's a long time ago.
I'm just looking through the top 100 see if there's any other intros that.
While you do that, can I talk about some intros that I'm pleasantly surprised that are really high on are somewhat high in the list that I'm really happy about. One of them is New Dawn Troll made by Sid.
yeah.
That's a
It's
really
fun.
solid
Yeah.
intro. I
Yes.
really like that. My personal favorite, actually, honestly.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Abstraction Tree. It dropped a little, but it's still high. I think. RR Clash New Dawn versus International. We have talked about this earlier. One of them I actually put quite high on the list for my personal list, but I didn't expect it to be decently high in the actual top 100. It's Carnage 5 by MKMK.
I don't think. I'm glad I'm not the only one with controversial opinions. Dom seems about ready to burst.
I mean, that intro is like. I think that intro is like actually quite decent, but
I need to rewatch it.
It's okay.
Season 5, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
I heard it is. Take a look.
Yeah. Well, that I also have one more. I am not biased. I swear. Astrology 2.
No, I love Astrology too. I loved it from the moment it first came out, but I think we know why.
No, kind of Carnage 5.
Okay.
I don't 58. Like the best looking thing about the intro is the fact that it's in the Nether with shaders on. Like it's just the fact that they're in the Nether with shaders on is the thing that makes the intro look so apparently looks so good. It's just Nether shaders.
While we're on a more negative,
major.
while we're on a more negative train of thought, can I just say I'm glad that Phobia 10 only got 74th because I think it's very, very simple. I just dislike the intro. I don't dislike it. I just dislike how popular it was because I just don't think it's real. How can I don't get how Back in Time 5 can be 7th and Phobia 10 can be 74th. I just feel like they should both be around 30.
They're the same.
They're the same type of intro. They're very well made, but just very, very, very simple.
Yeah, some RR intros in my top 10 list, they are just not in the actual list, which I understand why, because especially after hearing what you guys said earlier about the topic, because they're just basic intros which are executed quite well, and sometimes they're just lost in the void of intros, whereas there's generally better intros out there. So yeah.
Alright, Fancyyy. I have watched Carnage Season 5.
Yes.
What placement did you say I got?
58.
Okay. I think it's deserving of being in the top 100. Maybe not 58, but I do like it. I do like it. I can agree with you. I do like it. I don't know if it's actually no 58. Actually no wait. I know 58 actually might. No, 58 is actually fine for it. No, 58 is fine. I disagree. Okay. I changed my mind. It's good.
My favorite part
I don't think it deserves higher. I don't think it deserves higher though. I do like it though.
All right.
Right. Do we want to move on? If Gavin's got to go soon,
I don't have anything else to say on this.
I have nothing else to say.
Okay, so this one's probably going to be quite short because it's basically just speculation on our part. So what we wanted to talk about. Oh wait, no, we're sorry, we're not doing that one.
We're doing switcheroo.
We switched them. Okay, ignore my very inquisitive preface to the topic, which we're now no longer going to talk about until later on. And now join me in talking about our new topic, which is production value too important nowadays? So, as you know, things as the time has gotten bigger between playing and releasing rounds, has it gotten too much? Are we expecting too much of organizers, intro creators, everyone involved?
Honestly, as time goes by, there are more and more talented intro makers rising in the community. Like you can see a few like Venom, which has done like absolute amazing in
Venom's
in his
ridiculous.
intros recently, and like some other people that have also made quite good intros. And like at the same time, people's expectations just go way higher and stuff. For me, like production definitely does not need to be too high. Like it doesn't like need to be necessarily high, but it is definitely like needed to capture the like viewers' attention because their expectation is so high nowadays that like it gives them a reason to like focus on the round more. Like for example, the teams and stuff. Like and then they just go further to be indulged in the round somehow. That's what I think. Yeah.
I've got a very simple stance on the matter. Yes, production is way too important, but nothing will ever change because it's not a case of like it's not like we can rally and be like, hey, you like 10 people who value it, we got to change. It's how the community views it. Like the reason that production is so heavily valued is because the community heavily values it, and to fix that would be to change the view of the community, which is not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's just a tragic world we live in where production, I think, is just going to ramp up and up and up, and there isn't a whole lot you can do about it. It's just going to be like that until
it's sad too, because it's such a small part of a round, is like the intro, for example. Like I don't know, it's 50 seconds in a 2-hour season of commentary and fights and moments and a story that the organizer weaves together. I just think it's a shame that it gets so much of the attention. But again, Dom is right.
But the only way to change it is for a popular round to decide, do you know what? We enjoy playing as a round. Our focus, the thing that makes our round special, is the commentary and the relationship between the players, and the fact that we want to release more seasons. And because we want to release more seasons, fuck you, we're not having an intro this season. If you like our round, you'll watch it with or without an intro.
But then we hit the cycle where they'll release an intro, people will be like, oh, the intro's alright. They'll release another season, the intro's alright. And then Venom's gonna make a new intro, and people are gonna be like, "Holy shit, this is incredible! Look at this, it's amazing!" And then that round's gonna come back and be like, "Oh, this intro's alright."
I'm not talking about having a shit intro. I'm talking about not having one.
Regarding to Odon's statement, I was gonna talk about like, for some like rounds, which with exceptions, like to generate hype, they don't have to like make it like the production value to be quite high. For example, one of the examples is Risk and Reward last year. The production quality like wasn't that high. The intro is really simple. However, people still pay attention to it, mostly because like it hasn't been returning in such a long time, and it automatically generated hype that like, oh, Risk and Reward is back. Nice.
Unfortunately,
it's a legacy status.
R&R managed to coast. R&R had a decent intro, but they managed to coast past that due to the fact that it's R&R who have been dead for like a year. Most rounds released on the subreddit don't have that luxury. Their last season would have been out 3 or 4 months ago.
That's exactly the right word for it. It's a luxury that the old rounds have, that you can't magic your reputation from. And no matter how good, no matter how good Paradox is, and no matter how good and the heights Paradox reach, if they sort of slipped off and they started having lower quality seasons, lower quality intros, like they wouldn't retain that status. It's a sole luxury of the rounds that were popular many years ago. Everyone else has to maintain their standards, or otherwise you will fall down the cracks.
People like many years ago made like good intros, they made decent intros, then people would creep and they'd make better ones, and people were like, oh, this is awesome. And then intro makers were like, if we make really good intros, people will really like them. And intros got better and better, and people are like, yes, more of this. And then the standard of intro got raised so high that we're sitting here like, okay, trying to slam the fuck go back button, but we can't go back. We've kind of dug ourselves into this pit that we cannot get out from, because we've kind of it's a combined effort on all fronts, where intro makers, in attempt to have better feedback, made better intros and improved themselves, and as a community we went, yes, we want to see more of these, and we've just didn't think about the consequences like 5 years later, which I mean,
here we are now.
I'm not saying there's anything you can do about it. It's just a shame that there are rounds that you want more seasons, because you want.
I'm I'm honestly surprised there hasn't been like a UHC round recently that just decided to not have an intro. Honestly, I'm surprised that that hasn't
I
happened
know,
yet.
I know Mark's talked about it. Crimson was one of the people who really like spoke about production value, but I know for a fact that it's like one of the, it's very easy to say we should stop valuing production so highly. We should start, pushing out, just put out intros that work, or don't even have intros, just push it out. It's easy to say that, but then in practice, you can't convince all the people who watch to be like,
Yeah.
I mean, you
don't
say
take
that,
it so
Dom,
highly.
but everything you just said about risk and reward, you organise one of those few rounds that has that legacy status that people are going to be excited with for Phobia, no matter what you do with it.
That's true, but I think in Phobia's case, it's mostly just game modes. I don't think Phobia particularly has a high reputation for intros. Yes, we have good intros, but our reputation isn't intro related or even release related. Like R&R is remembered for being dead as fuck. So when it happens, it's like, holy shit. Phobia, we're known for game modes. We have a cool game mode. People are like, holy shit.
I mean, the game modes have stood the test of time. I mean, me and Chipsy, between us, have hosted Pyrophobia and Astrophobia games in the last 48 hours, and those were seasons that released like years and years ago.
Don't know what those boys were on back in the day, but when they hit Pyrophobia, man, they really hit someone.
It's just, yeah, it's crazy good idea.
I feel like production is like more emphasized towards new rounds nowadays because like it's a new round, like you want to know more about it, like and like production, like whether they put on the effort to it is like based on intros, according to some people out there. So yeah.
It's another one of those like things where it's another one of those things where as a season 1 you want to create an impact, so you want to have a better intro, but when you make a better intro, it raises the bar. So everyone in this RR grouping wants to get noticed, so they do something to get noticed, and it kind of raises the bar for everyone. Again, just
I think an interesting angle on that was Ninja just made and released an intro for a season 1 called Gateway, and the only art or renders in the intro were at the credits. Like the introduction of the players was just the players' IGN and some Easter eggs about that player attached with it, and just edited together in a quick yet interesting way. And I think for the most part, it was received well. So I mean, it does show that the community is open the idea of a more simple, quick production intro. But again, still, I don't think it's the precedent at all.
No.
All right.
No. Is that all the comments we need, or people want to say on the subject?
I assume so. Gamer needs to go in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think she'll be able to.
All can continue without me.
I mean, it's only one more topic. Like you won't be missing that much. But
and even if you do miss it, it's a podcast tradition that we have someone leave halfway through.
Yes, very true.
Glad to uphold that for the greater good.
So what I was beginning to caveat before I realised we'd switched the topic orders around was obviously coronavirus is something which has affected all of our lives to varying degrees. Obviously, Gavin here still has a job, which is nice.
My job is covering it. So there you go, journalism. But yeah, most people are just sitting at home, and I would go crazy. So I have massive amounts of sympathy for those people.
Yeah.
So the good news is it brought a lot of people back to the community.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we're here, because there's a lot. There are a lot of people who are coming back. Names that you're literally like, what the fuck? Like
it's genuinely
the reaction.
Very interesting
experience.
It's a very interesting kind of state of the community. We've hit this point where it's like people are trapped indoors all day, and people are like they're either like, fuck it, I'll play some more UHC, or they're like, fuck it, I'll try organizing something. Hence why we've had some rounds popping up as well out of nowhere due to the corona.
And that's the hard part with this topic, is because obviously we're not really allowed to give specific details, because we're either wildly theorizing if you know nothing about what's coming back, or trying to pretend like you have no idea what we're talking about if you are aware of things that have returned as a result of coronavirus. But is there anything?
I want to start off with some negatives here. I'm aware of 2 recorded rounds that actually that had to be cancelled due to coronavirus, which sounds weird due to the nature of how they are, how recorded rounds are. But,
are you able to elaborate on that?
I can elaborate on both. It's just in one case I'm not the organizer, so I'll have to mention. I won't mention it by name.
Be vague. Yeah.
But I know there was one live round which had to be cancelled due to the fact that the organizer had to stay in one house while their computer was in another, and they couldn't travel to use it, so there was no organizer on the day, so it got cancelled. And the other one, which I feel free to indulge, was actually Phobia.
Oh no.
Which requires a bit of explaining. I won't take too long, but we did a date vote for season 16, which got picked out as Easter. Which we picked this out in like February, like late February. It got picked out as being Easter Sunday, which is a mad day, but it got the most votes. So I guess if most people voted they could be there, then it's the best day. Then the coronavirus lockdown happened, and suddenly every weekend and every single day of the week suddenly become a hell of a lot more available to people, and we picked Easter Sunday. So
if I, for example, was not planning to be with my family on Easter Sunday, I thought that would be a grand old day to play a recorded round. Now, however, it's a terrible day to play a recorded round.
It went from being like the best option we had to probably the worst option we had. And I was like, yeah, we're going to get such a fucking ass fill. So we had to cancel it due to coronavirus. I made a tweet on that day from the Phobia account saying that Phobia UHC was cancelled due to coronavirus, and that was not a lie.
Oh, that wasn't a meme.
Nope, that was a legitimate tweet.
I do remember seeing that tweet. Oh, that's funny.
That was a legitimate tweet that looked like a meme, but 100% truthful.
That's quite funny actually, but also really sad that it's funny that people are going to assume it's a meme, but it's actually real.
Yeah.
Not as in it's funny they got cancelled.
Yeah, it's just the saddest juke of all time.
There have definitely been some older players come back though. It seems like I mean,
has there, Joey?
Yeah, Joe. What do you know about that?
Joey? Never would have noticed.
What?
Should we go through the joining channel of Joey's 1.12 private groups?
Well, that isn't a recorded round.
That's true.
Okay. I don't think it counts.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It doesn't count. However, there's a lot of people.
You can talk about it if you want, but.
So there's a lot of people in that Discord, and I'm surely convinced that the majority of those cool older players on that list will have been invited to some recorded rounds by now, just because it's a novelty. Get them in while they're still original, and whether those players will accept those invites or not, you'd have to ask them. But
honestly, I'm gonna put this out right, and because I just want to say this publicly, I don't think anyone should get hyped up.
No.
Yeah, same.
There's a few people, like older school UHC players, who have come back to. For those who don't know, I've been hosting a few 1.12 UHCs in my spare time because the virus fucking sucks. And a few older UHC players from the older days, like 2013, have come back to play a few of them. And I'm just going to say this publicly: I wouldn't get excited about any of them playing recorded rounds. I know, I can safely assume that there's a good few of them probably would never play a recorded round again.
They're
simply for playing the game, and that's it.
Joey, I love how you say play a few of them, and yet Scorpion JG is the first player to sign up to every single one of your games.
We do not. No, but as a recorded round, I don't want people to get hyped up.
Yeah. For me,
I don't even necessarily think it's just a factor of if they're a player or not.
Yeah.
I just want to make the suggestion of if you're in a group like that and you want the player around, I wouldn't even personal experience, I wouldn't even bother inviting them because I don't know if I'd trust them to upload.
Yeah, they're just there for the game. But there are definitely other people who have definitely been playing more UHC, I think, and everything. I mean, Owen, I know you've been playing a few of the UHCs, and I know you've.
I'm hosting
the only reason
you might have been coming back.
If we go way down to the roots of it, the only reason this podcast is happening is because of coronavirus and you being we need a podcast.
I just thought I'm back. I had no intentions to ever return, but you know, if okay, I'm not sure I've necessarily enjoyed my time back, but there's been positives.
Oh, jeez, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, I'm just gonna leave if that's your attitude.
You guys are alright.
Oh no, Gavin.
Genuinely though, I do have to leave, but I wanted to thank you
Alright.
very much for inviting
All
me.
right.
Thanks
No
for
worries,
being on,
Gavin.
Gavin.
Nice to speak
Of
to you.
course.
All right. So, from my point about older players returning to RRs, based on my notes, because like, most of the players they're just here to play some games and chill instead of like maybe recording. They just want to like have a fun time. They just want to play and stuff. But there's still some exception of some people recording their games. Like you see, can I mention names?
Yeah, I was.
Um,
I mean, I think I'm
Like for
a fan
example,
of
I
it.
see Jacob, aka Scopehead, recording his games. And also Waxman, definitely stream most of the games that he play on Joey's servers and many more.
Yeah.
But for me, like most of them gonna play RRs, the chances are probably still gonna be low because if they do, even if they do, like they might be just playing that 1 or 2 seasons and then go back to the sun again, go back to their real life stuff because
Yeah.
obviously they have a life.
I know
in their
coronavirus is
Yeah.
going to be around for a while, but with production value, I don't see anyone playing more than 1 season before they
Yeah.
have to go
I
back
doubt
to their
that
normal
the,
life.
I
That
don't-
or
I don't
2
think
is
the
quite
coronavirus has,
optimistic.
I don't think the coronavirus has forced a permanent return from you, dog.
No, I think that's that would be a little bit. Well, I don't know because all of my friends will be going to university in September, so I might have a lot more time on my hands. But I don't know.
I mean,
However,
still,
like-
it's not virus related that you'd be staying here. If it wasn't for that, you'd probably be gone.
Well, I mean,
However,
my
like,
first A
okay.
level is on Monday, so
Ooh, that'll be fun.
or would have been anyway.
I have my final uni project due in 5 days of this recording.
Oh, you're in your final year of uni.
Okay.
Oh no, my final project of this year. Sorry,
okay,
I
right.
said that wrong. No, I have another year after this.
mhm.
I can't get out
Alright.
of that easily.
One last thing I want to talk about is that that I written in my note is that everything's not sure because like whether after the lockdown will they just leave the community again, focus on real life, or stay in
Probably.
the community being
Yeah.
semi-active. Like for example, like some people that I can see staying in the community like being semi-active and stuff is probably like Waxman and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like,
But,
I feel like I've seen I think I've definitely seen like Wax in particular make comments about the fact he'll probably
Yeah.
be like semi around.
Yeah,
But-
he'll be semi around probably for me. Like he's the yeah.
I personally feel like most players are probably just gonna dip, just go back to doing
Yeah, he's
IRL
just
stuff.
here for they're just here for the chills.
Yeah,
chilling
alright.
and stuff.
One flip side to that though is the fact that like with my own return, I wasn't into gaming at all. Like I'd given up gaming. I hadn't switched on my computer for 6 months. Like I was doing college stuff, and then I was working or going out on my weekends. Whereas the people like who have returned to Joey's group that I've spoken to, like that lot who all came back together, like Tyler, Jake, Scope, Pre, all of them, is the fact that they didn't like leave gaming and computers altogether to go and get some like amazing social life or anything like that. Like from what I've heard, they've all just been playing games together for the last couple of years. They just with no association to the UHC community. So the fact that coronavirus has brought them back seems a little bit incidental in a way because they've still been playing games together as a community, and maybe if they thoroughly enjoy Joey's games or whatever else they may be doing while they're back, there's no reason why they might not play UHC, but at least keep in touch a little bit more rather than wiping off the surface of the planet completely like they have done for the last sort of 3-4 years. But that'll all depend on how much they enjoy it while they're here. But well, your games are fun, Joe. So they're in good hands, I'd say. I just wish it wasn't
This point from
1.12.
the Recorded Round podcast is concluding that Joey hosts good private games.
Yeah, we're kind of on a tangent.
I'm
now.
turning the Discord into a recorded round.
Oh Jesus
God.
Christ! Oh no!
I mean, I'd rather that was the biggest of all time than Amity, so it could.
It wouldn't go well.
You... Oh, it'd be terrible. But, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't go well. It would be the worst thing on the subreddit. by a mile.
I don't know.
Are you testing me? I'll do it.
I don't know.
Expect another
Kratos
RR.
3 still a thing, so.
I have enough stress with Pathfinder.
Expect another RR in 2 months, guys.
I have too much stress organizing Pathfinder than to organize another thing.
If you could make a round,
Scott Perry organizes 4. Pull yourself together, Joe. Honestly,
that's true. Scott Perry is carrying 4 recorded rounds on his.
Yes, but my interest in UHC is much less than Scott's these days.
Scott's
I enjoy UHC, but not to the point that I'm willing to play the game every single day.
The biggest change when I came back to the Reddit community was the fact that Scott Perry is now using his own name rather than his dad's at last.
Yeah, God, it was a true character development. He's now using his own goddamn name.
Like, I thought I was controlled by the fact that I was only allowed to like my dad's music taste, but he never insisted that I called myself Justin, which was a positive at least.
I can't imagine there being 2 Justins in Pathfinder. You can't. Do not make them Justin.
Honestly, now in hindsight, this is so off topic, but now that in hindsight that you see that Scott's now going by his actual name, and you truly comprehend the fact that for years upon years upon years, he's being constantly referred to by his dad's name.
Oh, it's mortifying.
It's in hindsight, it's so fucking horrifying.
Yeah,
I found it harder to adjust to Scott to calling Scott than I did to when Casey, from Einstein to Casey.
Yeah, I love the like
example.
When it comes to like transgender, it's easy to kind of like, for me at least, it's kind of easy to associate in their name. It's like there's a huge shift in person, so the shifted name is a lot easier to adapt to. Scott's always been Scott. He's now just no longer Kevin. It's just now there's literally no change whatsoever to how you recognize him. He's just now Scott, and it's hard to just kind of like just flick that switch. But I imagine it probably after like 6 years. 6 years or so, he probably did get fed up by being referred to by his dad's name.
Fair.
I just think it's a thing of getting older. I think a lot of people would want to stop being referred to by a weird online nickname and actually be called... Like, when I first joined the community, I fucking hated anyone calling me Owen. Like, It's Isaac was the only person who did it and I let get away with it, and I didn't really want him to, but I just got bored of telling him not to. Whereas now, if anyone calls me Bad Fan, I'm like, God... O-Dog if you have to, but please just call me Owen. Like, that's just what I want to be.
I can't believe you genuinely taken O-Dog as a nickname.
Well, you can blame Lego for that. He started it on Diana's CS1
day. As a nickname.
I'm not sure.
I can't believe it.
I'm not sure how we went to the name talk, but I've always wanted a name change. But then again, I've been stuck in this nickname for so long.
I always wanted to rename myself to just Sonic, Joey, but everyone was like, "No, the dirt is vital.
Yeah,
you must have
Jesus
the
Christ,
dirt."
I've been calling you.
It would look awful.
I've been calling you "the" on stream several times. You can't change that.
I hate you so much. Anyway, we should probably.
I just want to laugh. My last point is I remember in private game, like one of the first times I ever like teamed a game with you, Joey. I just called you Sonic for the whole game.
Did you?
Yeah, I remember I think it was the first Elmo game I played that we teamed. I just called you Sonic for the whole game. And it was like in hindsight, I'm thinking like that's so weird that I'd look at someone's name and I'd see, okay, there is a descriptive word here and a person's first name. Let's opt to call them by the descriptive word.
Funnily enough, when I go into Twitch streams, I think 70% of the time, most people seem to call me Sonic instead of Joey. Not kidding. I don't know why.
So
That's interesting.
strange.
I don't get it. It bothers me so much when people call me Sonic. I hate it so much.
What about "the"?
That I just find funny. Sonic I just find annoying.
What about Speedy Joe?
You're the only person I allow to get away with that.
I think while we continue this topic, we should probably end off the episode before we talk about more unrelated stuff.
I'm fine with this being part of it.
I think people are more interested than you think. I think they will probably find something funny.
About
also, do you know what, Joe?
Sonic Joey's name.
We could just rant. I mean, that's what podcasts are. People just rant about topics for ages, right?
Yeah. I need to go soonish, but yeah, I'm happy with this now. I've just realised, Joe, you have the exact same name formatting of the three choices as Gavin does. You've got the L or the. You've got the Supreme or the Sonic, and you've got the Gavin and the Joey. And it would be the same.
Are you saying Gavin's name is Supremo?
Well, I'm saying that if Dom had played an Elmo game with him 4 years ago, he might have called him Supremo.
Sonic Gavino, Joey Supremo. Wait, that rhymes.
Right. Should we try and convince Gavin to change his name to the Supreme Gavin?
The Supreme Gavin.
I'm gonna tag him on I'm gonna message him.
El Supremo
Can you
Gavino.
change your name to
My goodness.
I have a feel like setting my name to the Casmic Dom.
Yeah, that'd be
good.
good.
Sounds so weird. Considering that the descriptive word I go by is like not a real word.
What does Casmic mean? I mean, I've called you Dom the whole time.
I have a video
Oh.
that describes Casmic, I think, if it still exists. Does the video still exist?
I know that it's just a.
Do you know the video I'm talking about?
I don't think so. I don't think I know. But I remember. I think my young brain just thought of two like cool sounding words and then combined them. The two words being chasm and cosmic.
Oh, that's cool.
This isn't the video I was talking about, but I found
hence why Casmic is the correct pronunciation and not Chasmic.
Right, sadly I do need to go, so this ramblings is gonna have to end.
Thank you for listening to
the
podcast.
only reason you will get to hear what happens past this is if my recording has failed and we're in fact using Dom's footage. So if you guys stay, Dom, feel free to keep recording this absolute nonsense. But yes,
we may as well just end it off.
Okay,
at the 3 hour mark.
We are about to hit 3 hours. Yes. Well, you've waited over a year, so we thought we'd treat you to an extra long rendition.
Definitely intentional.
Yes, definitely intentional. When we got to an hour 45 and we were still on the RR roundup, I was like, Christ, this is gonna be something.
I'm impressed it's only 3 hours.
Dom,
I found the video.
Oh,
I expected this to be shorter than
right.
RR.
That's going to be it from us. Thank you so much for watching. I think we'll try and get another one out before the end of lockdown.
Maybe.
I'll do my best. Or Fancyyy will do his best, because Fancyyy...
What?
Thanks to Fancyyy for organising this, by the way. He got my arse into gear. I made the group chat, and then Fancyyy did like pretty much everything else. So thanks for coming, guys. Get well soon, Jamie. Jamie was meant to be here, but he's ill, so... yeah, I think that's everything to say. Yeah. And I might try and get this out tomorrow. I know that's not very podcast style, but yes, why not? I will see you later, guys. Thanks for chatting.
See ya.
Pleasure as always.
Viewers.
Thanks for coming, Fancyyy.
Bye, O-Dog, I guess. Owen.
Goodbye, team.